Well, guys, we are back for another episode of the Liberal Asshole Show, episode 118. And what are today's topics?
Laughing at the final experiment, Assad regime falls, South Korean president impeached, stop crying about wokeness in video games and media, Trump wants to privatize the USPS, evil Republicans want Americans to die, Trumpsters crying about taking responsibility, and TYT continues to implode.
Oh boy, we got a lot of topics to cover to wrap up the year. So, what do we talk about first?
Well, start up with the final experiment.
That you brought up. So, do you want to explain what that is at first? Because I first heard about it earlier when I woke up like, what is that supposed to mean? That sounds almost like the final solution the Nazis did.
No. It is not what you think. It is not what you think. It is the final experiment is a way to settle the shape of the Earth debate. Both the Flat Earth side and the Globe Earth agree that whether or not there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica will confirm if we live on a flat plane or on a globe. A 24-hour sun cannot work on a flat plane in the south, and the sun cannot set on a globe during the southern summer.
And of course, flat earthers are morons. You really think they're going to accept it no matter what?
Well, the thing is that we got three out of a few flat earthers down there. Including Jeranism and Witless.
Alright, so let's watch this video about the silliness that is flat earthers. Fucking clown.
Hello everybody, hope you're doing well and thanks for joining us for another video. Currently, within the realm of flat earth, one of the biggest talking points is the final experiment. Now this is the brainchild of Will Duffy, who is going to pay for a flat earther and a globe earther to go to Antarctica this December. I've been fortunate enough to be offered the spot for the globe side, and we're going with the main goal of seeing if there is a 24-hour sun or not. Because the globe model predicts there will be 24 hours of sunlight with the sun circling all the way around us, whereas on a typical flat Earth map, the sun should stay north of any location in Antarctica. Though, despite flat earthers for years saying there wouldn't be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica on flat Earth...
On a flat Earth, you can't have a 24-hour sun, a midnight sun in Antarctica, and I totally agree.
In both models, we're supposed to have a 24-hour sun. In the flat Earth model, we say there isn't a 24-hour sun in the south, and there isn't.
The midnight sun being seen only in the northern regions is evidence against the globular theory. If the world were a globe, the midnight sun would be seen
just
in
going
the
through my head out the other. I'm like,
December,
what am I
as it
even
is seen
hearing?
in the northern in June.
Strangely, since the final experiment was announced, many of them have changed their tone.
So let's just ignore, because we haven't claimed it, what a flat Earth model will do. We haven't proposed one.
In reality, this is not a problem for flat
It's more like because you guys, I don't think, you guys really don't even believe in the flat Earth crap. You're just being contrarians, and now you're about to be humiliated, and you're trying to back away from it. That's how it comes across to me.
Earth at all, nor is it evidence of a globe.
What was it? Jaren at least is like, well, I've seen the flat Earth now. Not the flat Earth. I've seen the 24-hour sun. Others are going to have to come up with an explanation because I can't think of one, and so he might be starting that way to was actually going away
Reason
from
flat Earthers
Earth.
have claimed a midnight sun likely doesn't exist in Antarctica is because of how many clearly fake videos have been made claiming to show a 24-hour sun in the south.
Now saying they don't claim one way or the other if there would or wouldn't be one, and that even if there is,
just said in the
it
video
apparently
there
wouldn't
was.
prove anything. Unless the sun sets, then that would prove the Earth isn't a globe. But there have been quite a few flat earthers attempting to reject the final experiment before it's even happened by saying that it doesn't mean anything because it's not actually an experiment.
It's just
It's an
contrarianism.
observation, so it wouldn't prove anything.
In other words, the final experiment is not an experiment, and not even a demonstration, but merely an observation.
Why? It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy with an antipodal assumption. It's not an experiment, it has no independent and dependent variable, and you're yet to observe the phenomena if you're going to claim it.
Now, they say it's not an experiment because there are no variables. So let's first cover, is it an experiment or not, and then cover how these flat earthers have managed to now nullify several years worth of their own arguments with those claims. Firstly, it being an
contrariness of it is so
observation rather than an
incredibly
experiment
funny.
due to an apparent lack of variable.
Also remember that flat Earth is a gateway to other far more insidious conspiracy theories.
Yep. This is like so ridiculous. You don't even need to go this far to show how insane they are. If, like I said before, if you're on the coastline, which we both are, you could just go out in the water, and if you see like ships and all like disappear in the horizon, it's because the Earth is curved. It's that simple. We have, and that's what you can see by yourself if you're able to. But there's other ways without having to actually see it yourself. You know, pictures.
That's all. See that every single image of the globe Earth ever is CGI, according to them.
Of course, there are people in the International Space Station that could see Earth and see it's curved.
That's fake, according to flat earthers.
Oh, and then of course
everything. Remember, everything is fake according to flat earthers.
And of course,
and with everything being like, oh, it's just NASA too. The Jews are behind a global conspiracy. Not joking. Not joking. One of the people that get most of the flat earthers in is a literal neo-Nazi.
And then, of course, in a few decades from now, when we are able to, like, colonize the moon or have space hotels and whatever so regular people can see for themselves, I can't wait to hear the excuse then.
Remember, these flat earthers, a lot of the flat earthers that actually believe in it have flat brains, so...
An observation,
like conservatives.
For example, would be seeing that if you drop a ball, it bounces. But to form an experiment from that, you'd have to take multiple observations whilst changing the variable of drop height to see how that then impacts how high the ball will bounce back up. Or you can observe that giving plants water makes them grow, but you can change the variable of how much water you give them to see how that affects how much the plants then grow. So if we were just going to take what the sun does in Antarctica by itself, that wouldn't really tell us anything, because it circling all the way around us could mean the Earth is flat, but that Antarctica is at the centre. But that is not the only observation we'd be making. All of us would be observing what the sun does whilst we're in Punta Arenas, both before and after we go to Antarctica, and each of us will then be observing what the sun does from our respective locations before we even set off. So our observing location will be varying throughout the trip. I'm also planning on taking a solar filter with a telephoto lens in order to get some close-up views of the sun. So I will not only be able to see if there is any change in the sun's angular size throughout the day, but also the presence and location of any sunspots. And I believe there will also be other people attempting to do the same thing in different locations around the world at the same time, to see, do the same sunspots appear so that we know if it's the same sun or not, and if there is any change in the position of those sunspots, i.e. if there's any relationship between the orientation of the sunspots compared to the observer's location, and are there any variations in the sun's angular size between those locations. All those observations combined will be reality, and so any model for Earth needs to be able to account for those observations. Not only that, but Critical Think is crowdfunding to join us in Antarctica. I will leave a link to his crowdfunding page down below. He is planning to bring along some highly accurate scientific scales and weights, so that he can then measure how the variable of changing location affects the measured weight of the scientific weights, and whether such change conforms to the globe predictions of varying gravitational force. So there are certainly variables involved with the final experiment, thus it can be argued that it is an experiment. But even if we were to say that it's not, and that it is just an observation, so wouldn't prove anything, that claim directly conflicts with years of claims by flat earthers. For example, Nathan Oakley was recently offered a place on the Antarctica trip, all expenses paid, and he promptly rejected it. But one of his arguments is that a few years ago he interviewed another flat earther called Robert Shortman, who spent a period of time working in Antarctica, and he said he didn't see a 24-hour sun.
Are you able to answer the question about 24 hours of light in Antarctica on a...
I've interviewed a guy who's not experienced 24 hours of daylight in Antarctica. He spent 18 months there. Have you ever spoken to anybody ever that's been in Antarctica? Because I spoke to a chap who was a plumber on one of the rigs that's out there and spent 18 months there and categorically stated he didn't experience 24 hours sunlight.
Now, ignoring that
because he was outside the area that would have been for 24 hours sun.
And also, too, depending on the time of year, it's night all the time, too, right? Just like in the Northern Hemisphere. You just don't know.
But wasn't actually in Antarctica during the southern summer, so he was there in a period of the year that the globe doesn't predict a 24-hour sun anyway. But Nathan is using an observation that Robert made as proof that the sun sets in Antarctica. So why is it that an observation is acceptable when it suits a flat earther's claim?
Contrarianism.
Nathan also argues that the final experiment is presuming we'll be antipodal in Antarctica versus when we're in the north.
Why? It's an affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy with an antipodal assumption, because I've covered the same thing every time I've discussed it. The antipodal assumption, the begging the question fallacy, and the false dichotomy that they are utilising when they say they're going to go down. What, down to the bottom of a bowl you're already assuming you're on? It's not an experiment, it has no independent and dependent variable, and you're yet to observe the phenomena if you're going to claim it.
Which is not the case. It's not a presumption, it's a prediction. In an experiment, you make predictions. So, for example, if you're testing watering plants, you can make a prediction such as, I think doubling the amount of water would give double the growth of the plant, and then you test to see if that's the case. Based on a globe, the prediction is that a 24-hour sun in Antarctica would be the same as in the Arctic, circling all the way around us, staying the same size, because the two locations are antipodal. The prediction based on a flat plane is that they would be different, because the sun can't circle the Arctic and Antarctic in the same manner. No matter how much flat earthers want to think that avoiding making any predictions would somehow protect them. I mean, that is pretty much the same logic as thinking, I could put my hand in a fire and as long as I don't predict it will hurt, then it won't. Many of them also say that a 24-hour sun wouldn't disprove flat Earth, it just means that there is a different flat Earth to the one that they thought, or that there are some other variables that they've not yet taken into account. But these reactions to the final experiment are a direct contradiction to years of claims and supposed proof of flat Earth. For example, flat earthers love to bring up arguments like the black swan and other photos where they argue that you can see further than the globe predicts, so therefore Earth is flat. So point one, viewing an object
they're trying to refute the ocean curve I was mentioning earlier.
Yeah, of course. They're going to try to refute everything.
Oh my god, so desperate.
Experiment, it's an observation.
Of course they are.
Therefore, by flat earthers' own claims now, those don't prove or disprove anything. So, at least we know flat earthers can no longer use those against the globe. Point two, they're presupposing a sphere of radius 3959 miles to get their prediction for how much an object should be obstructed, and when they then see objects beyond that distance, they presume that the Earth must be flat. I've never seen a flat earther test to see could the globe have a radius of, say, 5,000 or 6,000 miles. They just argue it's not 3959 miles, therefore presumption is it's flat. So flat earthers take an observation that doesn't match a sphere of radius 3959 miles, and to them, that is irrefutable proof that the Earth cannot be a globe. But now they're trying to argue that observations that wouldn't match a flat plane wouldn't actually mean the Earth isn't a flat plane, it just means there's some variables they haven't accounted for. But they won't accept that the Earth could be a sphere of radius 3959 miles, and there might be some other variables they've not accounted for, like refraction. So their arguments for why the final experiment shouldn't be considered as valid evidence for anything directly contradicts many of their own apparent proofs for flat Earth. And I've no doubt that even if I go to Antarctica and there is a 24-hour sun that we document, there will be flat earthers who try and argue that it didn't happen and that the footage is fake. However, I will say that such a response cannot come from the likes of Flat Earth Dave, Nathan Oakley, or any other flat earther who has rejected an offer of a completely free trip to go there and see it for themselves. For me personally, they forfeited any rights to question the validity of what we document the moment they turn down the offer.
Oh, they'll make
Well,
excuses
that's
no
going to be
matter
it for
what,
this video.
though.
As always, feel free to leave your thoughts in the comments down
Most
below.
of them
If
did.
you've enjoyed
Most
this
of them
video and
did.
you haven't already done so, then...
Brutus is actually pretty conciliatory, so...
So, what do you guys say about that? That was hilarious, even though most of it just went right over my head and all that.
I found it fun.
What a bunch of clowns you are. The Earth isn't flat. It's not debatable. It's so stupid. There's no point to argue it. That's why I pretty much just went over my head.
Yeah.
Like, what? Most of what you said was like, what? But it didn't matter to me because I know the Earth isn't flat, so it doesn't matter if I don't fully understand it. Okay, now that funny stuff out of the way, what's next?
Next one is the Assad regime falls.
Well, guys, remember in the last episode we covered the new offensive broke out in the Syrian civil war and had flared up and all that. And remember I said that the way it's going, I don't know if Assad's gonna last for the rest of the year. Well, guess what? He didn't even last the next day. He didn't even last the next day. He was gone the next freaking day. The day after we filmed the last episode, Assad, after 24 years in power, is overthrown, and Syria has a new regime and all that. Now, of course, like we said last time, Assad is evil, and he did need to go, but I don't trust the people in power yet. We can't trust former jihadists on anything. They have to prove...
not just former jihadists, former Al-Qaeda affiliates.
Yeah.
Former Al-Qaedas.
So, while it's good that he's gone, hopefully jihadists, they don't actually turn into a Islamic State or anything, but we have to wait and see before we know soon enough. But we should definitely keep an eye on it. But yeah, wild news and all that. Iran, Hezbollah, and Russia are more than mad. They can go fuck themselves and all that. So now, let's watch Kyle's video on it, shall we?
All right, welcome to the show, y'all.
Of course, your long-ass intro as always, Kyle.
Now he kind of admits it. And by the way...
Still going!
All right, so we got all that and...
Still going!
Sketchy-ass foreign governments that are
Oh my god, Kyle, 2 minutes in, you're still
Syria
going,
has fallen.
finally!
The Assad government has collapsed.
Yep.
And gotta be honest, kind of felt like it happened out of nowhere, right? There's that old saying,
Literally
I'm going
the
to butcher
next
this,
day after
but
the
bear
last
with me.
episode, people.
It's
That's
like,
like
in
you
years,
think,
days happen.
Russia
but then in days, years happen.
Hezbollah, and Iran getting weakened.
Which is always a W.
And,
oh, yeah!
Yep, and the Neo-Ottoman Empire helped this along quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if Kyle's going to mention because I never watched this video, but for all of you who don't know, too, Israel is also invading Syria right now, too.
Yep.
And their excuse is, we're going to destroy Syrian weapons so they can't be used against us. They're invading far more deep into Syria.
Hey, look at they're probably going to try and overthrow the new government and install an Israeli government there.
And take over parts of Syria like they tried to already with the Golan Heights for decades.
Try and take over as much of Syria as she possibly can, as they possibly can. Like all of it if they can.
Yep. Unacceptable, and they must be condemned for it.
Yes, they must be.
That is definitely not the same.
They must be blasted back into their territory.
And it's true.
And that includes the Golan Heights.
Civil War was raging for so long. And then for like the past 4 years, it kind of quieted down and the lines were frozen. And everybody, including
like we said, guys, that was the first time I think we ever really covered the Syrian Civil War because by the time we started in 2019, it was quiet. Like the last real flare-up was 2018.
Self sort of thought, okay, I guess that's it, right? I guess the Assad government survived. I guess Syria will remain as it is. But it turns out, no. Just the other weekend, we talked about this on the show. You had the rebels sort of taking some more territory. You know, they took Aleppo, so they gained quite a bit of territory. And it felt like, oh, shit, okay, well, they're on the move. But I got to be honest, it didn't occur to me that they would go straight to Damascus, the capital, and face zero resistance. But that's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
They faced zero resistance.
They collapsed so quickly. The regime fell the day after we filmed the last episode. That's how quick it was.
Assad and his government actually negotiated with the rebels a deal, and he did.
They died.
Initially, there were reports
the Assad
that
army
he
just
went into his plane,
disintegrated.
and that his plane crashed
Just
when it
completely
was
disintegrated
leaving
like
Damascus.
Austria-Hungary did at the end of World War One.
They were stacked like an EU4.
But that turns out to be fake news.
Yep.
That didn't happen. Assad is actually in Moscow right now. So the rebels have officially taken Damascus, and there's a lot to say about that. And we will. So let's start with this. This is an article in Axios. Assad regime collapses as Syrian rebels seize control of Damascus. Syrian rebel groups seized control of Damascus on Sunday and declared the country to be free. More on that in a minute. Following the capture of several major cities in a lightning offensive over the past several weeks. The rebels' move into Damascus with no meaningful resistance is proof of the de facto collapse of the Assad regime, which has clung to power through 14 years of civil war.
Yeah.
So, by the way,
bloody
here's why it happened so quickly. And again, we touched on this in our previous segment. Russia is a big ally of Syria. They would normally help them massively. Turns out Russia is, of course, completely bogged down in Ukraine. And they sent a tremendous amount of weapons and manpower to Ukraine. So they're a little busy right now. Iran is a little bit busy. They've been doing tit-for-tat strikes with Israel.
And Israel
They're probably waiting
anti-air
any day now,
systems
any minute
last month,
now, for
remember.
Israel to launch a complete attack on the Iranian government.
Literally tried to literally then took out every single anything capable of flight in the entire.
Remember, dumb leftists
country.
dumb leftists actually thought Iran was stronger than Israel. What a bunch of clowns they look like now.
No, it's not. Iran is not.
It's so
Dude, the
obvious,
whole thing is so weak that if Israel had enough of a population, they could occupy from fucking Pakistan to fucking Algeria.
And of course, they have nuclear weapons, so they would annihilate you if they so wanted to.
Government and their nuclear sites, etc. So they are probably prepping their defenses as we speak. So Iran is a little busy right now. And then also, Hezbollah is engaged in a war
Every
with
single
Israel.
Hezbollah was killed by Israel,
was a massive fighting force on the side of the Syrian government.
And a big chunk
during
of
the
their fighters were wiped out as well.
Damn, maybe you shouldn't mess with Israel, Hezbollah, and Iran. Even though Israel sucks, they're more powerful for you, so you should know your place.
Syrian civil war.
And also remember that they're backed up by America, who will put you in the ocean.
Yep.
Who will put you in the ocean if they could.
Especially with an orangutan coming back.
Yeah. They'll fucking reduce your bloody. They can combine nukes with space lasers to reduce your entire country to ash.
Hezbollah's busy, Iran's busy, Russia's busy. Russia came in and did like some airstrikes at the beginning of the rebel offensive last week, but I think Putin literally admitted, like, yeah, this is going to be a short little one-time thing, y'all. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this for much longer.
Perhaps
and it turns out that when
Ukraine there, buddy.
The Syrian government doesn't have the help of Hezbollah and Iran and Russia, it basically doesn't exist. Right? I mean, literally, no fighting whatsoever. They just waltzed right in to Damascus and took it. So they say here, it's a stunning development and another major regional earthquake after a year of war in the Middle East, further destabilizing Syria and the region in the short term. In the longer term, it could have dramatic implications not only for Syria, but also its allies, Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, which helped keep Assad in power after the 202011 uprising.
They can
Reuters
all
reported
stay
on Sunday
mad.
morning local time that Assad has left Damascus to an unknown location. As I said, we now know
Steve, dilate L plus ratio
in Moscow. So now let's talk a little bit about who was leading these rebels. Okay, who was leading? So Mohammed al-Golani is the leader of the insurgency that toppled Assad. Abu Mohammed al-Golani, the militant leader whose stunning insurgency toppled Assad, has spent years working to remake his public image, renouncing longtime ties to al-Qaeda and depicting himself as a champion of pluralism and tolerance.
We don't believe that until we see proof of that.
I'm sure
this
is sincere.
We're way more skeptical.
No. It'll take a lot to. It'll take a lot to do to sort that out.
Yeah, we're not going to believe until we see proof of that, pal. Sorry.
Exactly.
We're way more skeptical.
It's going to be bloody high too.
I'm actually a big fan of gay people and trans people and stuff.
I love comedy.
No,
personally.
it's not.
I believe in
It's
pluralism.
not even. It's probably not even.
Oh, come on.
In
In
favor
recent
of
days,
interracial marriages.
I'll believe it when I see it, and we don't believe it.
Exactly.
Insurgency
Yep.
even dropped his nom de guerre. What the fuck? Don't be hitting me with 180 IQ ass things. I don't know what the fuck this means. I think all they're saying is he dropped his like Muslim name or his Al Qaeda name. I don't know, and started going by Ahmad Al Shara. The extent of the transformation from jihadi extremist to would-be state builder is now put to the test. This is so silly to have this conversation. Insurgents control the capital, Damascus. Assad has fled into hiding, and for the first time after 50 years of his family's iron hand, it is an open question how Syria will be governed. Is it really an open question? Would you say open is the right way to describe that? Syria is home to multiple ethnic and religious communities, often pitted against each other by Assad's state and years of war. Many of them fear the possibility Sunni Islamist extremists will take over. Oh, do they? Well, where would they get that notion from? The country is also fragmented among disparate armed factions and foreign powers from Russia and Iran to the United States. Turkey and Israel all have their hands in the mix. Again, more on that later, and we're going to do a segment tomorrow on Israel's role in this. The 42-year-old al-Ghalani, labeled a terrorist by the United States, has not appeared publicly since Damascus fell early Sunday, but he and his insurgent forces, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, many of whose fighters are jihadist, stands to be a major player.
Gee, why we're skeptical about all his claims?
He took part in literal terrorist attacks. There's even some talk that he may have directly beheaded some people. And I'm not kidding when I say there's an all-out offensive, not just from him, but also aided and abetted by some in Western media to say, him, bro, he's actually not a bad. He kind of had a change of heart and stuff, bro. I mean, bro, he's evolved, all right? Get off his ass. All right, so more on this. So Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, or HTS, this is his group that just took over in Syria, which has now seized power in Syria, was declared by the U.S. State Department as a specially designated global terrorist group on May 17th, 2018. And as Michael Tracy says here, what's the over-under on how much longer that designation is going to remain in place? That's a good question. What is the over-under? It's not like we're saying, bro, back in 1932, this was a really bad group, but they've changed their ways. They've reformed. 2018, they were a designated terrorist organization by the United States. All right, more. Look at this. This is real. The U.S. Embassy in Syria. We remain committed to bringing leading al-Qaeda figures in HTS to justice. Stop this terrorist. Mohammed al-Jalani. This is the dude. Up to a $10 million reward from the United States government.
Again,
for killing this guy.
You see why we have reason to be skeptical?
Or knowing where he is.
Yeah, right? Very much.
Telling them where he is.
Not.
All right, ready? And then we get this. We get this just the other day, actually, in CNN. How Syria's rebel leader went from radical jihadist to a blazer-wearing revolutionary. Oh my God, y'all!
The fucking code.
I'm having flashbacks.
Yeah,
I'm sure you guys have seen those articles.
Stephen Molden
going back to
Osama
bin Laden.
Ratio.
So when Afghanistan was fighting against the Soviet Union, there were articles in the Western press about Osama bin Laden basically calling him an independence fighter and a revolutionary and praising him. Because, of course, at the time, Ronald Reagan got in bed with the Mujahideen and gave them money and weapons so that they could fight the Soviet Union. Because in their mind, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. We will fund radical jihadists to fight the Soviet Union. And there were all these puff pieces written. And now it's like we learned nothing. We learned nothing. Okay. All right. I got more. Israel sent troops into Syria immediately after Assad was toppled and extremist Turkish-backed rebels led by rebranded al-Qaeda took over. Israel wants to colonize even more Syrian territory
which we just
beyond the occupied Golan Heights.
They want to try and take.
This is the U.S., Israeli, Turkish
They want to take Syria
alliance. So again, I'm going to give you more on this tomorrow about exactly what Israel has done thus far, and you're going to be shocked to learn just how much they're involved, just how much territory they're taking, and just how much bombing they're doing. So look, I get it, man. I would say what I've seen is like a perfectly mixed reaction on the timeline. 50% of people are saying, shit, look, great. They got rid of a brutal dictator. This guy has the blood of countless people on his hands. He's got these
hostages in his military prisons. He ruled with an iron fist. He was totally undemocratic. I'm happy he's gone. This is what a lot of people are saying. And then there's an equal number of people on the other side saying, okay, but it matters who's taking over, right? Doesn't that matter?
Yeah.
Doesn't it matter? And look, Iraq, Libya. In the moment, people forget, but in the moment, there was widespread jubilation over the fact that Gaddafi was overthrown. Gaddafi seemed like a cartoon villain. Saddam Hussein.
And he kind of was.
Genuinely did countless horrible things, atrocities against the Kurds. They had the war with Iran. The dude was vicious and brutal. Of course. But now in retrospect, everybody looks at it and they go, look, all that is true about Gaddafi being bad and Saddam being bad, but you cannot argue in good faith that what came after it was better. In fact,
Libya's
it is objectively the case. It is measurable to say, no, it's way worse.
Iraq had
it is two states.
Yep. And Iraq had to deal with decades of jihadists afterwards.
And so here's an example. 2011 in Libya. Look how excited everybody is after Gaddafi falls. Here we go.
NTC forces insert. After many weeks of fighting, the former rebels celebrate their victory. But after a constant bombardment by land and air, the city lays in ruins. This ordinary drainage pipe has now taken on a greater significance as people come from miles around to see the final resting place of Colonel Gaddafi. Meanwhile, people in Tripoli are also happy to see the back of the dictator. If we caught him alive and hanged him like Saddam Hussein, we would have had another just like him. But since we killed him, just like a corpse, this is a glorious day. With people celebrating and singing in the streets of Tripoli, people are happy in the knowledge that after 42 years they're finally free from tyranny. The Libyan people are hoping for a quick recovery and see a bright future ahead of them.
And we saw what happened after that.
Soon thereafter, we got open slave markets.
And a second civil war.
I'm just saying. So, look, if these guys... Okay, if you want to take these people at face value, the rebels who took over, HTS, if you want to take them at face value, all right, if you're serious about improving the lives of Syrians, have elections. You overthrew the tyrant. Okay.
And allow liberals if they're there.
Let's see what happens.
Exactly.
Let's field some candidates. Let's have elections.
They never will.
Person with the most votes ends up winning.
They won't even probably have elections
they get to
either.
take control of the country.
Yeah, of
If
course
they're serious and he's truly reformed,
replacing one dictator with another dictator.
Okay, let's do that. But what's crazy to me is literally nobody is talking about that. Like, I've seen zero.
Well, to be fair, Kyle, this video was done the day after the offensive ended. You can't really necessarily expect elections as soon after the offensive happens. Mm-hmm. That's a little bit too early to expect that. But yeah, if they really do want to show that they're going to change, they should make plans to do the election soon.
People say, okay, Assad's been overthrown. Hip hip hooray! Now the elections are scheduled for 7 months from now.
Yeah,
right?
More
Whatever.
like it.
I'll give you a year. I'll give you a year and a half to get the elections going. But I think that's not even remotely on the menu, right? So look, I get it. Again, I get it. I understand the brutality and the horror show that was Saddam's Iraq. I understand the brutality and the horror show that was Gaddafi. But what came after was worse. Guys, it could always get worse. Everything could always get worse, right? And then this is another example of I think what's crazy to me is a lot of the people who are celebrating this have said literally nothing about the fact that the rebels who took over were literally Al-Qaeda 7.5 minutes ago. I don't know, that seems kind of like an important piece of context.
A little bit more than that.
You might want to put out there, right? That seems kind of important. They're before they were beheading people, before they were in Al-Qaeda, they were doing strict Islamic law, and they were oppressing these minorities. There's a lot of Christians in Syria, bro. The Alawites, which is the, sort of Shia offshoot that Assad was part of. There's Alawites there. Mm-hmm. How are they going to be treated? What's going to happen with them? What kind of government are we really looking at here? And then the other thing is, shit. I genuinely don't know what happens from here, right? Because Israel's already bombing Syria. Is there going to be a bigger war now between these Syrian rebels going to Israel? How's that going to work? Or are these rebels going to maybe get into it with Iran? Because remember, Syria was
I think Iran's probably too
very
busy doing
crucial
with Syria.
region for support.
The bigger threat would
military
be if
and
they attacked the
humanitarian
Kurds.
coming from Iran. It would go through Syria to get to
There's also,
Hezbollah
remember,
and
they want to.
You've got Islamic State potentially resurging
to help Palestinians. And like now, that supply line is obviously totally shattered because the Assad government has fallen. So this opens up a lot of doors and raises a lot of questions and can lead to potentially a lot more chaos. And I'm tired of living through historic times, y'all. I'm tired of living through historic times. Everything is completely and utterly unstable. And okay, look, like I said, let's plan those elections then. If you really want to overthrow tyranny and dictatorship, okay, prove that by planning the elections. And then let's see who wins, let's see what happens, and let's move on from there. But I think you and I both know that's not going to happen. And the reason why the U.S. is now sort of comfortable with these extremists taking over this government is simply because Assad was aligned with Iran, Assad was with Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Assad was aligned with Russia. So you're taking
I'm not sure if America even sides with these rebels yet. We have to wait and see, especially with Trump coming in.
Piece off the chessboard that was there on the side of all of the United States enemies. So they're almost saying, well, whoever the fuck replaces Assad is fine with us because we have a better chance of working with them than we do with Assad. And it's like, but do you really think that's true? If these people were in Al-Qaeda 7.5 minutes ago, do you really think they're, everything's going to be hunky-dory and, Syria's going to be more free? And I don't know, man. We'll see. But I wanna wrap up this segment by showing you this video here, right? So this is General Wesley Clark, and this is a very famous clip that came out of Democracy Now! When he sat down for an interview. Listen to what he says about the plans of the neocons back from the Project for a New American Century, when the neocons were really just coming into their own, and of course they took power with Dick Cheney and George W. Bush. Listen to what he says.
About 10 days after 9/11, I went through the Pentagon and I saw Secretary Rumsfeld and Deputy Secretary Wolfowitz. I went downstairs just to say hello to some of the people on the Joint Staff who used to work for me, and one of the generals called me in. He said, "Sir, you got to come in. You got to come in and talk to me a second." I said, "Well, you're too busy." He said, "No." He says, "We've made the decision. We're going to war with Iraq." This was on or about the 20th of September. I said, "We're going to war with Iraq. Why?" He said, "I don't know." He said, "I guess they don't know what else to do." So I said, "Well, did they find some information connecting Saddam to Al-Qaeda?" He said, No. He says, "There's nothing new that way. They just made the decision to go to war with Iraq." He said, "I guess it's like we don't know what to do about terrorists, but we got a good military and we can take down governments." And he said, "I guess if the only tool you have is a hammer, every problem has to look like a nail." So I came back to see him a few weeks later, and by that time we were bombing in Afghanistan. I said, "Are we still going to war with Iraq?" And he said, "Oh, it's worse than that." He said, he reached over on his desk, he picked up a piece of paper, and he said, I just got this down from upstairs, meaning the Secretary of Defense office today, and he said, "This is a memo that describes how we're going to take out 7 countries in 5 years, starting with Iraq and then Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, Sudan, and finishing off Iran."
It kind of speaks for itself, right? This was a long-term geopolitical goal.
And then after Iran, they go after Russia and China and start World War III.
Yep, or they could.
That is if the bombing, nuking, and lasering of Iran into the ocean doesn't do that first.
Or of course, Russia and China can collapse on themselves.
Yeah,
for the U.S.
Or ideally, honestly, Russia, China, and America all collapse at the same time.
Just so everybody understands, do not delude yourself.
This leaves Europe.
This is because the U.S. or the West cares about freedom and democracy for the people in Syria, and they want a better life for the people in Syria. It's not remotely true. It's not. It's got nothing to do with that. It has to do with international business interests. Right? It has to do with the geopolitical.
It has everything to do with America
gaining more power from the United States and the West.
America wanting to literally colonize the entire planet.
Russia, and in this case, Iran as well. Hezbollah in
Which
Lebanon.
Russia and China also want to do too.
Yep.
Look, I
You
get
know
it,
they
man.
want to do that.
You know,
Yep.
some people
They're just
are
borrowing.
happy,
They're just
excited,
borrowing
they
from the
think there's
American
an
playbook.
opportunity for the people
And
of
our
Syria.
failures
If
at
that
it.
is true, let's get those elections on the books. And let's, shit, they can elect whoever the fuck they want, right? But let's get those elections on the books. And let's hope it increases freedom for people in Syria. But unfortunately, I do think that's pretty naive. And if you're going to have this conversation, you have to at least do the bare minimum amount of intellectual honesty and tell people, yeah, the rebels that took over were Al-Qaeda, like, not that long ago. You got to say that.
We can at least
You can have whatever
acknowledge that.
opinion you'd like on that fact, but you have to acknowledge that fact. And I see a lot of burying of that fact in conversations about this. So there you have it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor.
All right, so what do you guys say about that? Assad being overthrown literally one day after we did the last episode.
Yeah, that was pretty wild. I was like, I was looking at it. I was actually looking at the situation live on the last show, and I was thinking, oh, this isn't looking good for Assad. They might actually do this by the next episode. And yeah, I didn't think they'd fall the next day, but I was thinking like, he's got about a week.
Well, remember I said I thought it was going to last probably not till the end of the year. Oh boy, that was a major understatement.
But yeah, didn't even make them. It was down 24 hours later.
So yeah, I was actually looking up because there is a transition government at the moment. I was actually looking up on Wikipedia. They, according to Wikipedia, for economic reforms, there actually are planning on trying to maybe go to free market capitalism very soon. So, and of course, Syria was state capitalism for like all these decades and such. So that's one thing I guess would maybe help. But I haven't seen anything about like elections or democracy yet. Of course, I didn't have really much time to read it right now. But right now, this is what we'll say about it. Good, Assad's gone, but now we gotta hope that the next government takes over is actually good. And until proven otherwise, we're very skeptical, and we're gonna be skeptical until proven otherwise.
It's still because again, they were Al Qaeda 5 years ago.
Yep,
and so
that's why be very skeptical until proven otherwise, people. All right, so now on to the next topic,
and that is South Korean president impeached, as you listed it there. What do you mean impeached?
So, yeah, guys, another thing we covered last time out is South Korea's president finally got impeached. As we covered in the last episode, he tried to do a coup on the government with this martial law and all that, and he was cooked in that regard. So, good and all that. And, of course, we covered, because remember, they were going to have the first impeachment process the day we were doing the episode, like a few hours after the episode ended. And of course, we're going to get to that.
The next one succeeded.
Yeah. So, like we said in the last episode, they were going to do the impeachment process that day, and it actually failed. The first impeachment process failed. I'm trying to find the Wikipedia article to talk about and all that. I'm having a hard time finding it. But basically, what happened was, as we said in the last episode, everyone in the government was against him. Even his own party turned against him. But what happened? But what happened afterwards, before the impeachment, he basically made a deal with his party where he would resign on his own sometime in the future, and therefore his party would not go against him. And that's why the first one failed, because his party supported him in that regard. They fell short.
And then he did it?
Yeah. And of course, the opposition party said they were going to try and do impeachment like every single chance they can get until it was successful. And the second time, it actually worked. He actually was impeached. As he technically still is president, believe it or not, but he has no power. They have an interim president at the moment and such. So, of course, why is he not removed yet? He has all his powers taken out. Just get rid of him. It shouldn't be so hard, South Korea. Like, come on, man. Get with the times already. But, yeah. Absolutely good. They got impeached.
Should be beheading him. Should be doing some of the stuff that they used to do.
So, yeah, really short topic. So, what do you guys see about that? South Korea's president finally impeached. That's the second time in the last, not even 10 years that this has happened. Like, 2 presidents beforehand was also impeached for corruption stuff.
Oh, wow, nice.
So again, one thing, just like I said last time, why can't we do that in America like with Trump? Like after January 6th,
because the Republicans are cucked to him and the corporate Democrats enable him.
Mm-hmm. Like after
because they're masochists.
Trump should have been treated exactly like how South Korea's president was treated. Everyone, including his own party, condemns him and should have been unanimous impeachment instantly. But no,
impeachment and conviction.
Yep, he gets
conviction and jailed in Guantanamo Bay for the rest of his life.
He should have been impeached. He should have been banned from life from running. And all the Republicans involved with January 6th should have all been impeached and banned from running again. It should have been unanimous. Even Republicans should have supported. But of course, they don't because they're fascists.
Like a third of fascists. Like a third of them were involved in January 6th, including seditious car and greed.
And of course, also denying the election too, not just January 6th. Of course, the Democrats are weak, and now he's going to be back in a month. It's great to be an American.
And he's now going to kill most of you. Kills most of you corporate Democrats, and you will deserve it.
And nice to be an American, buddy.
Well, don't worry, us Australians are going to be particularly facing this next year, because we got Peter Dutton sounding like Trump, and you know that if he loses, there's a decent chance he's going to go full Trump election denier.
Aussies, if any of you are watching, do not make the same mistake my fellow Americans did. You see how stupid Trump is? Listen to this base Aussie right here. Vote for progressives. Do I make myself clear? Do I or not? Oh my God!
Well, you do for me. But again, you don't need to convince me. I've voted Greens every election that I can at the top. We've got ranked choice voting, so enough of us put Labor ahead of the Libs. Put the Greens ahead of Labor, and we'll at least get the Greens able to actually have enough power to influence policy, Labour policy in a Labour Greens coalition minority government.
That's right. Keep rubbing the shit in my face to rub it in. Why can't we have base things? We're supposed to be number one.
Yeah, you're number one in the biggest shithole in the Western world.
All because of you Republicans. Every time gotta ruin everything.
That's what their job is. Their job is to ruin everything.
Which we're going to be getting to later on because they're evil. All right, but good on South Korea. Now, don't elect conservatives ever against South Korea because you're even worse than Japan, and that's insane how you're even worse than them. All right, so now, on to the next topic.
And that is... Stop crying about wokeness in video games and media. My God.
Yep.
No, here's the thing. It'll never happen because all the grifters make millions of dollars off of the hate clicks.
So yeah, this video is kind of a response to Sean's video he covered last month about freaking anti-woke dipshits online that are obsessed with everything being woke in video games. Oh my gosh, that was an awesome video. I would like to watch it, but it's over 2 hours long, so that's never going to happen. But he went after a bunch of idiots online that are obsessed with looking for wokeness in everything. Like they were making, oh my God, it's been a while since I saw the video, like a month ago, but he was going after these people like defending Stellar Blade, which is a game that came out recently, and they were obsessed with it because they have a female protagonist that is like every single stereotype, every single like misogynistic stereotype, like has huge tits and everything, hourglass figure and everything, like everything like people want like in women in terms of like sex appeal and a sex object, she's there and not. And they were like obsessed with Defender from the woke mob and all that. Gee, maybe it's more of you guys just want something to whack off to and not something to actually
that's exactly what. Yeah, it's just they want something to fantasize about motorboating, about fucking because they can't do it themselves. And they can't find a partner themselves.
And this was funny, of course. The game came out, I remember it had like just average reviews and all that. But what was really funny is when the game was being made or came out and such, because apparently this character actually had like different like outfits and all that. And of course, a lot of them were like bikinis and all that. Of course, got appealed to the sex object and all that. Which of course, it's your choice.
Misogynist terrorists.
Which we'll get to in a bit. That's their choice and whatever. But they had a complete meltdown because before the game came out, there was some clothing changes done to the outfits where they don't look as sexually explicit as they were before, even though it really wasn't much change whatsoever. If you watch the video, it shows like Sean shows like a before and after. It really is not that much of a difference, and they had a complete meltdown about it. They had such a meltdown about it because that they're censoring them and the game developers are woke and on. These are Japanese people, for crying out loud. You really think they're woke? Come on. Japan is the opposite of a woke country and all that.
They're one of the Japan and South Korea are the two
ethno-states
that are the home of the anti-woke people.
Yeah, because they're freaking ethno-states. That should be mocked and laughed at for being so. So they were so insane about this minor change that they actually made a patch that you had to do a lot of work to get to revert the clothes back to how they were before.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
Oh my gosh, how sad are you?
God.
Now, here's the thing that Sean brought up too, and I brought up too in the comments. Because the original outfits, you know what showed like in the picture and all that? Not final. So, you know what that means, people? It's obvious that those designs they made were not the final designs. Like a placeholder. And the designs you're seeing now that are less sexy are not, are the official design for it that they originally had in mind. Because, creative freedom is a thing and all that. And you know what, too? Because I brought this up, too, because you already know, because I announced it like a few weeks ago. You know my Blossom in Summer, right?
Yes.
My upcoming manga series. By the way, last night I finished Volume 2 and I already began Volume 3. And soon, because I never announced this yet, because I might do a video on it, I have a permission. I can upload my Blossom in Summer to Manga Dex. So very soon, people, it'll be public for all of you to read. And I'm sure you can't wait for it, too. But there is one thing, of course, I've mentioned before, like some of the characters and all that, and I'm going to be called woke for having certain character traits and all that, but I don't want to spoil them at the moment. But there's one thing in the series that really, really bugs me, and I can't do anything about it. You want to know what that is?
What?
Because, it's a school, the series takes place mostly in a school, so like they have Japanese school uniforms and all that. But there's one thing that bugs me. The skirts on the schoolgirl uniforms are very short. They are so...
Oh, that is,
They're like as short as what these stupid woke retards would obsess over, like how they want it to be. They're so short that the main female character, in chapter 3, she was running towards her friends, and you can actually almost see her ass because of how short it is when she was running, and it bugs me so much.
The dangerously short skirt trope.
And even worse, later on, she was having lunch with the male protagonist, and I'm not fully sure, but I'm pretty sure you could see her panties too as she's sitting on a bench.
Oh,
because the skirt is so short. The only reason I'm not fully sure is because due to the outfit I designed. Because funny enough, they have panties in Manga Maker Kamapo, but they change color depending on what outfit you have. And they have like black school outfits. So the panties are actually black too. It blends into the skirt so well I'm not fully sure if I'm seeing them or not. So that's like that's like the only
interesting. When it comes to it, that's why a lot of my that's why if I were to see something like that, I always try to have some form of biker shorts on underneath.
Well, unfortunately, I don't have that option because I was gonna get to the main point, but like you see what I'm saying? Like you could see my panties and all that, and I don't want that. I don't want that shit on the main characters, especially the main one, because she's the Christian, like, and obsessed with. She hates like perversion. She would never ever willingly wear something like that short. But here's the problem: in the program, I can't change the length of the skirt or any of the clothes whatsoever. You can't edit any of the clothes whatsoever. The only thing you can do is change like certain clothes and their color. That's it. I don't have the option. So, but hypothetically, in the future, if I was able to do like mods or whatever, or hell, maybe if I had a whole bunch of money and do my my other idea, which turned into like an anime series on YouTube and just pay people to animate, you know what I'm going to have them do? I'm going to have them lengthen the skirt and double it so the problems I have won't happen. But guess what?
Mm-hmm.
First, you know what that's going to happen if I did do that? I'm going to be called woke for it.
Of course.
Because one,
that's what you should embrace. I'd say embrace it.
I'm
woke. Fuck you.
Yeah. Cope, Steve, Meld. My creative freedom.
L plus ratio.
Because here's the thing. That, like the short skirts they have right now, that I don't want. I actively want to change their outfits to give them longer skirts, but I can't because of technical limitations. So if I did give them longer skirts later on, guess what? That would be the original vision I had in mind. It's not censorship. Yeah. It's my creative freedom to make the series how I wanted to. It's not woke, and even if it was, it's none of your business.
Your fucking business, you
freedom!
Brain dead morons.
I don't know. I know you guys don't like freedom. I love freedom. I love freedom. Don't you love freedom? I love freedom.
I love freedom.
I love creative freedom. It's awesome to be an American to have freedom to make however you want. Let's go.
So I can say that you look at my characters, especially my female ones, either in the case of Melanie, she wears biker shorts under her skirt, which is quite short, but Melia's dress is a lot longer. And though that's usually all she wears, but...
Yeah, and of course, another problem too with the program is that even though I got all the DLC, there's still limited, like, clothing options. I'm not kidding when I'm saying this. Of all, there's only one, like, actual dress so far of all the DLCs I got on Manga Maker Comic Po. All the others are like short-ass skirts and all that. I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, the most modest outfit of the entire DLCs I have is a freaking maid outfit.
What?
Yes! The maid outfit actually goes down perfectly length to like an actual normal dress. That's something maybe Mayumi would potentially wear. I'm not kidding on it. The maid outfit is the most modest outfit in the DLCs. I'm not kidding. I can show you later if you want.
That is... Yeah. That's actual what the fuck.
What? And if there was a way for me to edit a little bit, I might consider having them wearing the maid outfits if I can make them look like school outfits because the length is almost perfect. But again, I can't do that, and I'm not having them wearing maid outfits as a school uniform. It looks too silly, except for the maid cafe scenes I might eventually do later on in the series. But come on. But yeah, and all that. So, again, you guys need to stop crying about wokeness in video games. And not just video games, like manga and media that I brought too, so I can bring that up too. Get over it. This fucking dipshit that Sean made fun of also tried to go after the Monster Hunter franchise, which I'm a fan of, because there's a new game coming out 2 months from now, and he started crying about wokeness in that game because one of the women looked like, I can't remember, like, looked like a butch or something like that, or something really stupid.
Oh,
and I think,
God.
And I think...
Yeah, typical fucking homophobic fucking dudes in the fucking closet.
And of course, I think he even got the characters wrong, too, or something really stupid. It was so funny. And of course, us Monster Hunter fans are based progressive, so we don't tolerate your shit like we won't tolerate your shit in Pokemon. That's why Furry Retard is also salty.
Yep.
So, yeah. Get over it. Here's the thing. If people willingly want to be like more... Let's see, like, I'll get to the main point. Not everyone wants to have women, for example, be like sex objects. Some, like me, in my Blossoming Summer, don't want them to be sexualized. Oh, another thing too will make them mad. You can't even add the bodies of the characters in this series in the program here. It's like you can't like add the size of their tits or anything.
Okay.
And they're like normal sized tits, for crying out loud, which is fine. Although I personally wish there was an option, because I wanted the one character to have slightly bigger tits as like the rubbing into the main female protagonist. I'd look sexier compared to you, but I can't, unfortunately. But I would make them like normal size and anything. Like, not everyone wants to have like sexy women as like characters and all that, and that's fine. Me wanting them to have longer skirts and is fine. Not everyone wants to have like sex objects. Same goes for men too. Like these people have a freak out if women look normal. They always have a freak out. Oh my god. I remember. And of course, another thing too, it's not just like sexy women, also them making a big deal about minority characters and LGBT characters being like main characters.
Because they only want white people in
cis
white people represented because they're
cis straight white men.
Yep.
But again,
cis straight white patriarchs, which means they're also angry. Which is they're also angry wife beaters.
Yeah, but guess what, guys? Not everyone wants that. I bet they're going to be very mad when everyone in my series, My Blossom Summer, is Japanese. So much for your whiteness. Oof.
Yeah.
And a lot of the people in there are progressive.
Misty's fighting, you know.
Oh, no, no bullshit again. Oh, no, that was so fun mocking that dipshit. God, what a fun. But, yeah, guys. Remember that term that stupid Milo Yiannopoulos made up and forgot about afterwards, cultural libertarianism? I remember rocking that for a long time when it first announced that. Yeah, be actual cultural libertarians. If people willingly, regardless, even if they're paid or whatever, because that's like one of the excuses. They're being woke because they're paid to try and appease, like, progress on it. Okay, so what? Who cares? And what if they willingly want to? Like me in My Blossoming Summer. If I want to have like modest women like wear longer skirts, if I want to have LGBT characters, which someone My Blossoming Summer is, or if I want to have minority characters, again, my personal choice. Mind your business. Why does it matter to you? Get over it. If you don't like it, don't play it. Don't read it. Read stuff you like. Mind your business. You Karen cunts, because you're Karens. Oh my god. Yep. So yeah, what do you guys say about that? Been thinking about that for like a month after seeing that video, which you need to watch Sean's video on. It's really fun.
I will. I think that's actually something I can watch once I'm done here. So yeah, it what the fuck? Like, you people are idiots.
Yeah, I really am gonna be expecting. I can only imagine the future if I did remake the skirts in My Blossom Summer to be longer. I can't wait to be called woke red. It's gonna be so funny.
Yeah.
So what do you guys say about them crying about that, like, longer skirts potentially?
Bloody typical, isn't it?
Yeah.
Bloody typical.
Because all of you just want sexy women. Sorry, not everyone wants to pander to that.
They just want sex objects.
And not everyone views them as sex objects. There are games and stuff that do that, which is fine. I'm for that if they want to do that, but not everyone wants to do that. Let people do what they want. You want your sex object women? Fine. You want modest women?
And if I wanted to do a super sexualized thing for a woman, I'd just watch porn. Or make porn or play porn games. Seriously.
Yeah. Oh my god, that just reminds me of all the female characters in their like main outfits. Like if outside school, they have short skirts too and all that. I haven't done them with like a running animation yet. I haven't even had them wear their outside outfits yet, other than like decide what they're gonna pick and all that. But funny enough, the main like outside outfit for women that have skirts are still very short, although somehow just barely longer than the school outfit, which is insane.
A tiny little step in the right direction.
Like I said, if I had the option, I would make them longer, but I don't have a choice.
Whoa.
Like it's just amazing to me that the maid outfit is the longest the dress in Manga Maker Comico, and I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. I'll show it to you afterwards. It's insane. Yeah.
That is absolutely insane.
All right. So no more raging, laughing at stupid anti-woke fuckers. What's next?
Yep. Okay. Trump wants to privatize the USPS and literally everything else.
Of course, now we're going to go from laughing now to being very mad. Lovely. So, of course, Trump, just like Republicans have been trying for over a decade now, or actually decades to end, is to privatize the USPS, the United States Postal Service, which they've been trying for decades to do. Now, of course, I actually looked up something that could potentially...
Remember, they want to privatize everything, hand everything over to Wall Street and make everything evil.
Which we're going to get to a little bit of that afterwards and all that. But I found out one thing that could potentially cuck them, hopefully, just getting rid of the USPS. Apparently, it's in the Constitution that there needs to be a mail service from America.
Good.
So
that'd be good.
Hopefully that would cut them and all that. Because guys, the U.S. Postal Service is absolutely needed because while there is private mail services, here's the problem: not all of them go everywhere because there's rural parts
most of them only stay in the cities and the suburbs, and they won't service to black people
or rural areas, which is what.
They just won't service to minorities because a lot of them are racist.
They won't serve in rural areas, too, because it's just not financially feasible for them to do so. But USPS, of course, since the goal is not to make money, it's just to provide a service, they will go to those areas. That's another reason why you need to have USPS. And I found other people cover, too, is that the USPS also has, centers where you pick up mail and all them. All the private mail services also use them too. So you actually would, funny enough, be fucking over the private mail services too if you got rid of the USPS. So much for capitalism. Oof. Fucking idiots as always. Well, of course, we expect because Trump is a moron.
Yep.
So,
Trump is a moron.
So, let's watch this.
Always has been, always will be alongside all Republicans.
And elongated Musgrave, which we'll be making fun of later on.
Elongated Musgrave. Yep.
All right, so let's watch Kyle rip these people a new asshole.
To fear moving forward, this is in the Washington Post. Trump eyes privatizing the U.S. Postal Service, citing financial losses.
I haven't watched this video yet. I'm sure Kyle will cover it. But for y'all of you who don't know, of course, it's a service. Who cares if it doesn't make money? It's not supposed to make money. It's a government service. Do garbage collected make money? No. Do fire departments make money? No. Do the police department make money? No. There are services to help us. Their goal is not to make money, so instantly refute that argument. And two, the main reason why the USPS was had major financial strains recently was because back in 2006, Bush and the Republicans forced a bill through that would require the USPS to prepay retirement and pension plans for workers 75 years in advance. So they're paying for the retirement and pension and all that for people who aren't even born yet who are working in it and all that. And it was used as a reason, as to justify privatize because it costs too much. Because Republicans are evil. So don't listen to this bullshit.
They absolutely hate they hate the public sector and want everyone to be enslaved to the private sector, literally.
Trump feuded with the mail agency in his first term. Privatizing it could shake up consumer shipping and business supply chains. So understand something. It doesn't matter that the post office had quote-unquote financial losses. It's not built to make a profit. That is not the point.
Public things are not supposed to make money, you dipshits. Get for your head. It's provide a service.
Yes, it's
and
funded
USPS
by the government.
Is based.
That's okay. That's okay. That's fine. That's a good thing. There's some things that are worth not having capitalism.
I'm sure you guys have something down there too of
a
the similar sort.
So here, let's get into some of the specifics. This will be a disaster if he goes through with this. President-elect Trump has expressed a keen interest in privatizing the U.S. Postal Service in recent weeks. 3 people with knowledge of the matter said, a move that could shake up consumer shipping and business supply chains and push hundreds of thousands of federal workers out of the government. That alone would be a colossal catastrophe. Colossal catastrophe. Trump has discussed his desire to overhaul the Postal Service at his Mar-a-Lago estate with Howard Lutnick, his pick for Commerce Secretary, and the co-chair of his presidential transition, the people said. Earlier this month, Trump also convened a group of transition officials to ask for their views on privatizing the agency, one of the people said. Told of the mail agency's annual financial losses, Trump said the government should not subsidize the organization. The people spoke on the condition of anonymity to reflect private conversations. Trump's specific plans for overhauling the Postal Service were not immediately clear, but he feuded with the nation's mail carrier as president in 2019, trying to force it to hand over key functions, including rate setting, personnel decisions, labor relations, and managing relationships with its largest clients.
Go fuck off, Trump.
The government is slow. Decades slow on adopting new ways of doing things.
Republicans leave the USPS alone.
Yes, please leave. Go the Russian China Republicans, and then us base progressives can run the country, and then we would be so much better, and then we can make you finally jealous again.
Other services that became legal in the 70s that are doing things so much better with increased volumes and reduced costs, said Casey Mulligan, who served as a top economist in the first Trump administration. We didn't finish the job in the first term, but we should finish it now. The postal system is older than the nation itself. Founded in 1775 with Benjamin Franklin as its chief, revitalized with free rural delivery at the start of the 20th century.
Which is why it's needed.
Financially self-sustaining agency in 1970 designed to bind the nation together through the mail. Even through financial challenges wrought by the rise of the internet, the Postal Service has remained one of Americans' most beloved federal agencies.
Because we love it. Only Republicans hate the USPS because they're morons that don't want good
But as
things.
congressional Republicans and others in Trump's orbit have clamored in recent weeks for federal cost cutting, the Postal Service has emerged as a prominent target. People who work with the Department of Government Efficiency
sucks.
Blah 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 have also held preliminary
And is a fake government
about
agency,
major
people.
changes to the Postal Service, said two other people familiar with the matter who also spoke on the condition of anonymity. The Postal Service lost $9.5 billion in the fiscal year ending September.
Not lost, it cost them
only
much.
cost $9.5 billion
Reframe it, people.
to send
Yes, we need to reframe.
any piece of mail anywhere in the frickin' country. Anybody could do it at any time. You pay the tiniest amount when you actually go to ship it, right? Took $9.5 billion, and they're like, we got to stop that. We got to get rid of it. $9.5 billion is like what? 1 week's worth of the weapons we give Israel when we're over.
Yeah, $9.5 billion is nothing.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
that's nothing.
Yeah, that also reminds me. Remember those supply centers I was telling you about? I just remembered. We have one of them just down the road near the library. So yeah, man, USPS and all them.
Oh, you've got a library nearby. Sweet, I'd probably need to sort out a library card, but
Buddy, where do you think I got most of my manga the last years?
The library, yes.
Ocean Pines, Ocean City, and Berlin. Let's go. Free libraries within 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Stay jealous, conservatives.
A year and balls deep into their genocide?
I've got 3 within about 10 minutes.
You're in a major. You're in like your country's one of your country's biggest cities. I'm in the middle of nowhere. Let's go.
Are you kidding me?
Well, I wouldn't say Adelaide.
There's the great.
I think it's in the top 5 by population.
1, 2, 3, 4. I don't think so. I don't. Top 10? Yes.
This deal of all time. It's only taken 9.5 million tax dollars to make this thing function. This thing is a modern marvel.
And it provides good
declines
services,
in mail
people.
volume and slower than anticipated.
No,
postal shipping
Adelaide
business.
is still 5th. Okay,
Because I looked it up recently.
Gold Coast is a lot small. I thought like Gold Coast or Newcastle had like 2 million people, but no.
Damn, how's it feel seeing a dumb American know more about your city than you? Ooh. Does that
I was thinking about how big some of the I thought some of the suburbs were really big but yeah, not as big as I thought. So yeah,
even as it made major new investments in modernized facilities and equipment, the agency faces nearly $80 billion in liabilities, according to its annual
a dumb
financial
American
report.
knows that.
Well, we're now having the conversation about the military budget being $1 trillion. $1 trillion. By the way, the Pentagon's failed 7 audits in a row. They can't account for 61% of their money, but they're going to send another $900 billion trillion to them.
They can't account for
and
anything.
we're supposed to worry about the $80 billion in liabilities of the Postal Service.
Wasting money.
I'm supposed to dislike that. I'm supposed to say
Republicans
that's unacceptable. We need to privatize it.
Their whole purpose is to waste as much money as possible.
What would privatizing it do? It would turn it over to robber barons and make it so they can loot it and make a profit. That's what would happen. Cuts to the Postal Service could upend the $1 trillion e-commerce.
Loot $100 trillion from the globe.
Because Republicans are evil.
Yes. Hitting small businesses and rural consumers whose businesses and budgets make the agency the shipper of choice. Amazon, the Postal Service's largest customer, uses the agency for last mile delivery between its...
Yeah, as Kyle pointed out right here, Amazon and UPS use supply centers by the USPS for last mile delivery in rural areas, like me.
Hulking product fulfillment centers in consumers' homes and businesses.
Because they won't go all the way because it doesn't make them money, which is why you need a public option.
universal service obligation, which requires it to deliver mail or parcels regardless of distance or probability concerns, means it is often the only carrier that will deliver to far-flung reaches of the country. That's the most important point, guys. It's not profitable for, privatized services to go to a lot of places in this country, rural places in this country. It's not profitable. They lose money doing it.
Gee, that's why you have a public option who doesn't care about making money, idiot.
Everybody else wants to go to.
That's why USPS
so in other words,
is
profit is not the concern, nor should it be. This is a service. Attempts to privatize one of the most prominent parts of the federal government could spark a political backlash, you don't say, especially for Republicans representing the districts that the agency disproportionately serves.
All you Republicans trying to mess with USPS should get fucked and bent.
Yeah. Federal officials from Alaska, for example, often invite postal executives
over a table.
As Kyle pointed out, Alaska. Look how rural Alaska is. Now imagine them not having USPS.
No private service would go within 1,000 kilometers of Alaska.
Imagine fucking over Alaska conservatives.
Alaska would suddenly have Alaska and Hawaii would literally have 0 postal services.
Imagine fucking over.
No, probably big chunks of the Midwest would not have services
and the Rockies
at all.
Like you know what the most underpopulated state is, right?
That's
Wyoming.
Wyoming.
I think under 500,000 people. Imagine them not serving them in that huge ass state with so little people.
584,000.
Even Alaska has more people than that people. That's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are many places in the country that need the USPS because private industry will never serve it because they lose money.
It's to the last frontier to see how crucial the Postal Service is.
But to give you a comparison, my home city of Adelaide, which is considered pretty modest by other Australians, it's big but fairly modest compared to other cities in Australia, has 2.5 times the population, 1.2 million.
Economy. Responding to inquiries about privatizing the agency, the Postal Service spokesperson said the agency's 10-year modernization plan has led it to cut 45 million work hours in the past 3 years and reduce spending on transportation by $2 billion. The agency is also seeking regulatory approval to alter its mail processing and delivery timetables to better align with private sector practices. The spokesperson said in a statement, the United States Postal Service is already engaged in an initiative to ensure that we can provide our customer with a high level of service to every delivery address in the nation at least 6 days a week in an efficient and financially sustainable fashion as required by law.
Which they do because they're based.
Trump has long had a tense relationship with the mail agency. He wants to ride out from the Oval Office as a joke. And in a social media post as Amazon's delivery boy, in the early days of the coronavirus pandemic, Trump threatened to withhold emergency assistance from the Postal Service unless it quadrupled package prices. So Trump wanted them to quadruple package prices.
Go fuck yourself, Trump.
Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin authorized a loan for the mail agency only in exchange for access to its confidential contracts with top customers. Ahead of the 2020 election, Trump said the Postal Service was incapable of facilitating mail-in voting because the agency could not access the emergency funding he was blocking.
Oh, well, how convenient, Trump. You blocked emergency funding that you said they can't get. That's your fault.
Another way he tried to rig it.
Yeah, as we all know, because he can't accept losing, because he's a Nazi.
97.9% of ballots from voters to election officials within 3 days. When he returns to office, Trump could have several options to exert control over the mail agency, though he may not have the authority to unilaterally privatize it.
Thank fucking God.
I guess we'll find out. The Postal Service has 3 vacancies on its 9-member governing board. Among sitting members, 3 are Republicans, and 2 of those are Trump appointees. Biden has 3 pending nominees, but the Senate does not appear poised to confirm them before Trump's inauguration. That's great. So because of Manchin and Sinema, we lost control of the National Labor Relations Board, and now because of Democrats dragging their feet, it looks like Trump is primed to have...
I mean, here's the thing. The Senate is still Democratic for 2 more weeks. So they could do that, but of course they're being lazy and stupid.
But also remember
significantly narrowing the universal service
actually under control of the Democrats because Manchin and Sinema are functionally Republicans.
Obligation, which has been recommended by officials during Trump's first term, would probably require an act of Congress. If approved, the Postal Service would almost immediately be required to scale back delivery service to unprofitable areas and downsize its staff, roughly 650,000 employees.
That would require congressional approval, like Kyle says. And remember, Republicans right now, I think, when the Congress comes in 2 weeks, Republicans are going to have like a 1-2 seat lead. All it takes is 2.
Yeah, they've got a 2-seat majority. That's it.
Yeah, 2-seat lead. All it takes is 2 Republicans, and it's negated.
650,000 workers, and scale back delivery to unprofitable areas.
Like
me.
I'm sorry, this is capitalist brainwash, man. This is capitalist brainwash. Not everything has to be for profit.
To population,
we shouldn't even have health insurance companies. Single-payer Medicare for all we need for our health care, right? I would nationalize big pharma. You don't have to worry about profits for that. Virtually all the drugs that are created nowadays anyway are created with government funding at universities. Why do you need an independent third party to swoop in there and price gouge people, right? Some things you don't need a profit. You shouldn't have a profit.
Capitalists
Something
being
should
mad,
be part
though.
of basic governance in a civilized society. Jesus Christ.
They want to make money and watch people die, which we're going to get to in a bit.
Ways in which they may go about privatizing it.
They don't just want to. They don't just want to.
This is bad.
Do the rest. They just want to be like.
It dates back to the 1700s.
Want to go around shooting minorities.
1700s.
You know that there are parts of the UK where if a transgender person is murdered, the police are not allowed to investigate it.
I have a tweet to show you. Here we go. This says everything right here. Ready? Shout out to Sean Morrow, who made this point. We need to call privatization what it is, adding a profit tax to a public good. A public post office puts all its resources towards delivering mail. A privatized post office will deliver a large chunk of its income to shareholders. In what universe is that better?
Shareholders and to the people at the top.
That's exactly
and will refuse
There's
to.
going to be nothing held sacred in Trump's second term. Nothing held sacred. And we're all going to be worse off for it. Hey, y'all, do me a favor.
And I'm in a rural place. I don't want to be an excluded people. How about that one? So yeah, what do you guys think about that? Trump and Republicans being evil to try and get rid of the USPS, as always.
Of course, they want to get rid of they want to privatize everything. So that they can make $1 trillion and turn everyone into slaves.
Which, like I said earlier, would be funny because all the private mail carriers also need USPS's support too. So he would be fucking them over too. Oof.
Yeah, they don't care. They just don't give a shit.
Because they're not actually pro-capitalism like apparently progressives are. Oof, again. Oh man, must suck being a conservative and being against capitalism like you say you all support. Fucking idiots. All right. So now, on to the next topic.
Trump wants all Americans to be brutally murdered.
Yep, because Republicans have said their plans when Trump comes in, and of course, it's as evil as hell, and once again, it would affect me if they got their way. So let's get into that.
Senator Rick Scott, MAGA wanted him to be the leader in the Senate, but actually, that was the first time in a long time MAGA didn't get what they wanted. John Thune became the leader. Well, anyway, Rick Scott sort of said the quiet part out loud here, and he's leading a big group of Republican co-signers who laid out a roadmap for where Republicans go from here, okay? So here's their plan. This is like day one, the agenda, like what's on the top of the list of the agenda. Shout out to Jeff Stein, by the way, who's a phenomenal reporter. So here's what MAGA's plan is on day one. Pass an immigration bill that completes the border wall and remove migrants who entered illegally. Offset with mandatory spending cuts. So, this is finish the border wall, mass deportation is what they're talking about here. Because when they say remove migrants,
genocide,
they mean like literally 10 million, 20 million people. I mean, you have the state of Texas saying, hey, Trump, we'll give you, this massive piece of land to build literal detention camps so you can send the immigrants there before you ship them out of the country. So this is number one on the list is finish the border wall and mass deportation, right? Number two, pass a second bill to extend the Trump tax cuts paid for by repealing Democrats' clean energy tax credits and $2.5 trillion in Doge cuts.
Reminder, Doge isn't a real agency yet, people, so it should be irrelevant.
And that's to be determined what the cuts are. So now, let me break that down for you, because that's actually super important. The Doge cuts are going to be the entire social safety net.
Yep.
Every program that actually helps
literally ban the social safety net.
So it's going to be stuff like
Social Security will be banned.
Social Security, the WIC program. So
first three things Kyle said actually help my family out.
For babies, home heating assistance.
My family's main income is my
SNAP
mom's
program,
Social
or
Security.
food stamps as it used to be called. They're going to take a wrecking ball to that part of the budget. They say, "Oh,
so
we
you
want to
guys,
cut
in
the
my
budget."
eyes, are
First of all,
anti-family for being against my
I'd be
family
willing-
because
I'd be
you're
willing to
all
bet
evil.
Under Trump's term, we're
You
gonna
want
have a
to
military
murder
that is
people.
$1 trillion a year.
Yep, they want to
Under Trump's term, I bet we're
they want to
eventually going
reduce
to
the
have that.
population of America
second
by
of all,
100 million.
I don't think they're going to do any cuts, and to the extent they do any tiny little cuts around the edges, it'll be like to DEI programs, and they'll ramp up.
And remember, guys, like we said earlier, Republicans will only have a 2-seat lead in Congress. All it takes is 2 Republicans to fuck everything up, and we could bully them to do it. That's why Democrats need to have a spine and scare those 2 Republicans into our side.
But they won't because
the budget
they
in
won't
other
because
areas,
they're enablers
right?
of Nazism.
They already talk about a $900 billion budget.
What
So
they
they've
are when
already
they corporate.
increased it as the idea. Now, they pretend like, oh, we want to cut it. No, you don't. No, you don't. Then why are you increasing it? So,
yeah, and by the way, this bill, military spend would go up again as always because you don't want to cut the thing that really should be cut.
And by the end of Trump's next term, it'll be over $1 trillion.
They won't cut the Pentagon in any serious way, but they will take a wrecking ball to the social safety net and every program that helps regular working people in this country.
Yep.
Okay.
And
so
not only will they get rid of DEI, they will enforce mandatory hiring of white men.
To extent.
And then they'll go after all of our literature and ban us from doing our stuff how we want. Oh, you want to make make the skirts in My Blossom Summer longer? No, we're going to make them even shorter so you can see their panties anytime we want to. How about that? So go fuck yourself.
Or they'll be like, no panties.
And the Trump tax cuts that, this is, we've been through this. 83% of the benefits of that bill went to the top 1%. 83%. So the whole point of that is a massive giveaway to corporations and the wealthy. So by their own admission, here are their day one agenda goals, the most important things for them. Finish the wall, mass deportation of 10 to 20 million people, which, by the way, would be catastrophic
about
for this country. Catastrophic.
Into detention camps and then the year or 2 down the line, build gas chambers to do another
class
Holocaust.
Warfare and do an upward transfer of wealth to the wealthy by cutting taxes for the rich again. So cut grandma's Social Security
taxes to 0%.
And give a bigger tax cut to the rich.
Yep, reduce tax rates for rich people to 0% and increase it to 100% and enslave and reintroduce slavery to poor people.
When in reality, the base thing is it needs to be flipped. How about no tax on the poor and middle class, and we tax the rich at almost 100%, and no billionaires tax? Oh, what a utopia that would be!
Please succeed in carrying these things out.
Watching the rich suffer would be immense.
Their approval rating is going to tank.
It would be great fun.
They will be here to cheer it on.
Do you have any idea?
Starting with you, elongated.
It's going to be legendary.
Yeah,
it would be.
Along with how about we?
Honestly, considering how much of a Satanist he is, and how much of an evil piece of shit he is, they should just pop 1,000 balloons on him in Balloon Star Defense 6.
Ooh, and another thing too, if we're going to deport people, how about we deport you, Elon? How about that one? I would support you being deported because you're a fascist, and I don't want fascists in my country, especially try to control with money. Like I said on Twitter, we should deport you and take all your money. How about that one?
How fast
Go back to South Africa, set up an apartheid
Honestly,
government.
I think on the wall alone would not move the numbers
turn
much in either direction.
Turn everyone there into a Nazi
But once you get
terrorist.
to actual mass deportations, if they carry it out, if they just start with like people who have a criminal record, that's one thing, and people would be totally fine with that, and their numbers might even go up if that's what they focus on.
Or cross the border too.
Make those the cases that are front and center. But if they actually start doing mass deportations and you have, 98% of the people who are being deported have no criminal record, decent people, etc.
Mind their business.
Work jobs, look after their family.
Yeah.
Those numbers are going to start to tank. And then, believe you me, if they actually take a wrecking ball to the social safety net and give another tax cut to the rich, oh my God. Oh my God.
Another thing I just remembered this when we talked about South Korea's president. His new polls just came out, I think it was back on the 13th. Guess what his approval rate is now at?
0%?
I wish. It's 11%.
That's 11% too high. It should be 0.
Exactly. But Trump, Remember how bad
people should be calling for his lynching.
But hey, he's no longer present, thankfully, in terms of power.
Yeah.
But Trump, the reason I brought up South Korea, Trump, is you saw what happened when he tried to do his coup, which, by the way, you should have had that tank in too. You did have a tank and you went down to like 34%. It should be lower than that.
Yeah.
But you know, if you do the stuff you're going to do, you're also going to affect Trumpsters too. And not all of them, thankfully, are going to be completely stupid to defend you at all costs. Some of them will turn on you.
They're finding out. They fucked around. They're finding out.
Which I think is the next topic too. We're going to be covering.
Yep.
But yeah, if you do if you do this, you're going to be tanked so hard in the polls. And like I've argued with people like the last few years. I don't think Trump was the worst president ever. I still think Bush was. But now Trump's going to have 4 more years. Maybe he can finally top Bush. We'll see on that.
Yeah.
But yeah. He sucks, and he's going to make all your lives worse. That's why you don't ever support him, and you don't ever support Republicans ever. They're evil.
Yeah.
The pitchforks might actually be out, right? If you think we were all surprised,
if you do what you're doing, Trump, you're going to get the CEO treatment that United Healthcare worker got, or CEO.
By America's reaction to Luigi Mangione,
and I'm going to have no sympathy
CEO,
for you, just like I don't have sympathy for that guy either.
It would be that level. It would be that level. Because cutting Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and then turning around and giving another tax cut to the rich, again, that's an upward transfer of wealth.
And Trump's
in this country, and that's the last thing.
See this.
We need class war in the other direction.
Yep.
We need to redistribute to the working class. We already have a nightmare scenario in this country. We already know, according to a RAND study, that the top 1% effectively stole $50 trillion from the bottom 90%. We already know that.
Yep.
So we're already screwed.
To put that in perspective, people, that's like that's twice as big as America's entire GDP.
The American people already are out
that's
on
almost like the world's
$1,144 a
GDP.
month. Every month, every year for the rest of their life that they should be getting if we just had the same income and wealth disparity as we did in 1974. There's already a war being waged on.
Gross domestic product of the entire planet is $105 trillion. So that's
almost
they stole about half the entire GDP of the planet.
Yeah,
working class people.
And if you said that to the globe, they probably over the last century, they've probably stolen $1 quadrillion from poor people.
Because the rich are evil, greedy cunts, and that's why they need to be regulated out of existence.
80% of the country has 7% of the
many
wealth.
of them need to get the CEO treatment.
You want to take away the few
they're being
lifelines
so
they have?
greedy, they will eventually cause that to happen to them.
So look, it's all out there, bro. This is all out there.
It's at least be understandable.
This is their
but I'll
plan.
say understandable.
Build a wall, mass deportation, cut
Holocaust.
the social safety net. Every program that helps regular working people are going to take a wrecking ball. To get to $2.5 trillion in cuts, you're going to need deep cuts to Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, or just basically totally eliminate.
That's what they're going to do.
All of the programs that are there
it all
for the working class.
Not unless we bully those 2 Republicans we need, people.
Yeah.
Make sure they're bullied.
That plus another tax cut for the rich? Jesus Christ. By the way, notice something about Republicans? It always comes back to that, doesn't it? It always comes back to more tax cuts for the wealthy.
To killing
that is
minorities.
the core of their ideology. It just is. That's the core of their ideology. It's always class warfare against regular folks and redistribute the wealth to the top. It always comes back to that.
All minorities because they're evil.
Because they are just swimming in corruption.
Because they're evil.
The whole party is
conservatism is stupid.
To big business. And
it
this
always
is just a
fails.
classic example
Everything
of it here.
turns to shit when they touch it.
Man, I don't know.
I love
I
it.
hope Democrats are ready to resist because this is not.
No,
acceptable.
they're not.
And if they carry it out, it's going to be.
We're actually.
Like I said,
I might even bring that up when we talk about TYT because I've learned something very interesting about TYT over the last few weeks since the last episode with their implosion recently. It's going to be kind of interesting bringing it up. So yeah, we got to say about Republicans want to make everyone's lives miserable, even me and my family, as always.
Well, that's no surprise because they're demons.
Yeah, and you can't wait.
It's horrid, but it's not surprising.
And you can't wait to rub that in my face too.
Oh, hopefully not. Hopefully not. Hopefully I'm able to. And then that we don't elect fucking Dutton.
Yeah, you want me to suffer so much.
Well, unfortunately, not you, but there's so many other people that deserve it because they voted for Trump.
Elongated Musgrave should suffer. How about that one?
Yes, he should suffer terminal cancer.
Adam, if you're watching, let's continue mocking Elongated Musgrave on Twitter. Maybe you should join in every time I tweet at him. Just mock him viciously. Because he's a moron.
Go for it.
All right. So now, on to the next topic.
It's the second last one. Trumpsters crying about taking responsibility.
So, this has been a thing the last month, not Trump's win. It's the exact same BS that happened back in 2016 when he won. Republicans crying about, liberals don't want to associate with us anymore. Families disown us.
Of course we don't.
Buddy, that's your fault for voting for Trump. Not everyone likes him. And if people don't like them enough that they don't want you for Thanksgiving dinner or whatever, that's your fault. Not ours. And Republicans do the exact same thing to liberals all the time, so I don't want to hear it. And also, who cares? I sure don't. And all that. Why should I give a shit about your suffering because you made a terrible mistake in your life? So yeah, let's watch Trumpsters cry because people don't like him because the people are smart, unlike Trumpsters.
So I was watching a video from fellow content creator The Cabernacle about women who broke up with their boyfriends because they voted for Donald Trump. And
I would do the same thing with any woman I'm with if they're Trumpsters. I want nothing to do with conservative women. You're never going to get my dick and you are going to cope about forever. How about that one?
And I would highly recommend that you watch that video.
Conservative women are ugly. Am I right, pal?
Internally ugly and externally ugly.
And they're reprehensible monsters.
When you're finished watching this one, because I think that his thoughts on the topic were spot on, and I'll link to that down below. Also, great person to subscribe to. He has really good commentary and interesting topics, so check him out. Tell him I sent you. But he sourced those stories from Reddit posts, and it got me thinking, how many more of these stories are out there? What would happen if I just typed in, because I voted for Trump, in the Reddit search bar, and I've got to say, the results, fascinating. I found countless examples of breakups, the end of friendships, parents cutting off their children, and even someone hating themselves after voting for Donald Trump. So, I mean, it's clear that this election tore families apart and ruined relationships, which is genuinely sad. But the one about the person hating themselves, that one is actually a little bit more complicated than it seems. But with that being said, I want to dive into some of these posts because I think that it's important that we reflect on the way that Donald Trump is tearing this fucking country apart. But the first one
not just
was
Trump,
also featured in the Cabernacles video, but I do want to read it here for you because I do have my own thoughts about this that I want to share. So in the breakup subreddit, the user Personal Links writes, I can't even begin to explain how messed up this is. My Kamala-loving ex-girlfriend just dumped me because I support Trump. Yeah, you heard that right. She literally dumped me over politics, over the fact that I believe in fighting for this country instead of surrendering to the disaster Kamala
I
and the
know
left.
it's for this, but she before she broke up with you, she should have fucking cheated on you for it.
But yeah, oh my God.
Would bring. It wasn't even a debate. It was an ultimatum. She couldn't handle the fact that I don't want to live in the nightmare world she's so desperate to...
The nightmare world that is neoliberal establishment Biden. Oh my God, such a nightmare. Oh my God. Meanwhile, the economy's
yeah,
done
now
so
you
much
get into
better.
the nightmare of Trump, of Trump.
Y'all remember how bad Trump was? I sure do. I don't want to go back to it. I still don't even want to go back to the Bush years. Remember how bad it was? That made me permanently progressive.
Create with her Kamala worship. So what does she do? Celebrates today like she won some big victory. Like her and her woke agenda are somehow going to change the world for the better. It's pathetic. She's selfish and blind to the reality of what she's doing.
Hey, you're the pathetic selfish. Every word you're saying is projection because you're evil and you want to murder. Then why don't you try and murder your girlfriend? You fucking terrorist.
Sorry, buddy, your girlfriend has higher standards like we do when it comes to women. Sorry.
If you want me find your own Ann Coulter.
Sorry, if you want me to fold you like a V in bed while I fuck you like crazy, you gotta be progressive. There's no other way you're gonna get it.
Just lose a girlfriend. I lost someone who didn't care enough about me or what I believe to even try to understand, all because I stand with Trump.
Because he sucks, buddy.
Something more than the left's lies and destruction.
And now
she's out there throwing a party with people who probably think the same as her, celebrating the collapse of everything I stand for. I don't even know
what you stand for
losing
sucks,
someone
buddy.
I thought I could trust, or seeing her act act like a traitor to everything this country needs.
Because you are
she
a
didn't just break
traitor.
up with me. She
You're
broke up with
guilty of
everything
sedition.
that matters. Okay, first of all, my initial thought was that this person has the emotional maturity of a child, but it turns out they are just a young adult, and they post in subreddits geared towards older teenagers. So this is probably somebody who's like 18, 19.
They're probably
so it's a very young
incels.
man who clearly has a lot of growing up to do. Although, when we are talking about Trump supporters, I wouldn't be surprised, if this was somebody who was 50 years old, because again, all of them kind of have the mental maturity of children. It just kind of depends on who you're talking to and how deep within the cult they are. But when I looked at his post history, the first 3 things that I found were posts from him that were removed. One of them was in a thread about a guy driving over LGBTQ plus protesters.
Gee, I'm not surprised.
I wonder what a Trump supporter would have to say about that. Apparently nothing good, as evidenced by the fact that his post was deleted for some reason. Don't know why, but you can tell based on just those 4 paragraphs what kind of a Trump supporter this is. Many of us know people like this, who are very confrontational and passive-aggressive and refuse to stop talking about politics even when it's out of place or inappropriate. And the reason why I'm making that assumption is because if he wasn't that kind of a Trump supporter, that kind of a person, he would have just said, well, my girlfriend broke up with me because of who I voted for, and I feel so hurt by this. I feel hurt that she would end our relationship because of my politics. But
again, if that is a major turnoff to her, that's her choice, pal. Deal with it.
He didn't say that. He brought up the woke agenda and how Kamala is going to destroy the country, in a fairly apolitical subreddit. These are telltale signs of brain rot, and it seems like his girlfriend made the right choice because he couldn't not talk about.
You're a moron.
He seemed insufferable just based on that little thing, and the commenter seemed to agree in the replies. This person says, you voted against her rights and essentially told her you don't view her as a person. Trump's rhetoric has been nothing but hateful.
He basically told her, I'm going to rape you.
And Republicans support that, people. Always remember that.
Yeah.
Another person says, sounds like she dodged a bullet. And this person replied with a more thoughtful response explaining why his girlfriend felt the way she did, writing, in a normal election, differing political views wouldn't affect a relationship, as we have seen in past elections. This one, however, determines whether we keep rights we have left, which are already diminished by the overturning of Roe v. Wade, or we continue down a fast, calculated, and devastating path toward the complete and total control over women and what they are allowed to do. Can't even talk to someone who's...
You ain't controlling my state, pal, so eat shit!
Do they have no respect
and
for
also
us,
remember
but they
that
care
many,
more about their
it's not just women, but girls all the way to prepubescence, because there are Republicans in the House and Senate that want to lower the age of consent to like 6.
Looking at you, Matt Walsh.
Taxes, and I don't even need to mention the fact that Trump is a felon and an assaulter. Anyways, tell your girlfriend I love her and I hope she's doing okay. Let me know if she needs me. Ouch. And that's what these people don't understand. Trump isn't just a standard Republican. He was found liable for rape in civil court. If you can't understand why your girlfriend would take issue with you voting to make a rapist the most powerful man on the planet, that's not just a mere difference of politics. It speaks to your character as a human being.
You vote for Trump, you basically told your female partner you're going to rape them.
Like, it's just not acceptable. You just don't support Trump ever, people. That's the end of it. No, it's not just don't support Trump. You don't support Republicans, period. There's only one valid way you go. Either Democrats or the Greens. That's it. You gotta go left.
Exactly.
So I don't blame her one bit. I couldn't be in a relationship with somebody who voted for Donald Trump. I don't even think I could be friends with somebody who voted for Donald Trump. I have family members.
I'd tell them that they need to, that they don't deserve anything good to happen to them.
Well, it's funny because
I'd call them my enemy, and I'd tell them that I hope they suffer for 4 years.
This is an interesting thing to bring up. Well, I don't know about what's your family politically?
Okay, my dad's good. He's pretty good for an early boomer, but he's still an early boomer.
And I'm talking about, and not just your parents. I'm talking like the rest of your family. Like, what are they politically?
My grandmother is a Trumpist.
Oof.
My grandfather is right wing, but he's like apolitical. My aunt and uncle, hard to say. For most of them, but they're. My brother is a communist. My dad's like centre left, but has the there's a degree of anti-woke brain rot.
Oh my god, that sounds like my dad the last few years. Oh my god, he kind of
my mum's basically apolitical,
and
she doesn't really pay attention to politics.
My family, my dad's side of the family are by and large liberal, or like indifferent at least. My mom's family, they're not like right wing. Although one of my uncles, I have an uncle in both my parents' side of the family that are hardcore Trumpsters, and believe it or not, they're mostly disavowed by even my mom's family. Because my mom's family, like I said before,
good.
My mom's family is more right wing, but they're like establishment right wing. They're like elites, so they hate Trump.
So there's still.
They hate Trump because he's like mean.
But they're still
like my
enablers of the alt-right.
Yeah, like my aunt, like I talk about. Like, they're the people that very likely might actually vote for Democrats the last 3 times because they hate Trump that much. Like, they're right-wing, but they're not Trump, pretty much. And, of course, like, like you pretty much described my dad how your dad is. Oh, my God, I remember after we voted, my dad went on some strange, weird, like, somewhat, like, really weird anti-trans tyrant that was, like, so odd and weird. Like, he definitely has had, like, brain rot the last few years on this, even though he did. He votes for Democrats all the time. And my mom's both a liberal Bernie bro and a Democratic loyalist all at the same time. And that's why my mom makes conservative Karens cry all the time, because she wrecks them with no effort. Imagine imagine a tiny 66-year-old woman destroying you with no effort.
Tolerated that we're Trump supporters.
That would be fun.
Oh yeah. So that's another thing brought up too. What would you deal with like Trumpsters that or conservatives that are like friends or family members? Like, what would you do about them? Would you not associate with them?
Just don't talk about politics, because just don't talk about it. There's so many that are like, there's only 1 or 2 of us, so.
And like me, like I'm sure you already know, I have like buddies online that are Trumpsters. Now, I'm not gonna stop talking with them because I'm just not gonna do it. But if they bring up like politics, I'm gonna tell them like, nah, Trump sucks. Like, Trump sucks. I'm gonna be like more nice instead of like mocking viciously like Trumpsters like we do on this show. Like, I can't be like as vicious about it because buddies and all that. But I'm gonna point out that they're wrong. But let's focus instead on things we do like video games, monster trucks, Pokemon, NFL, and all that good stuff.
Decided I just don't need these people in my life. Right? It's not just the cruel policies that they support, it's the contradiction.
But yeah, if there was someone I don't know, I'm going to be as viciously mocking you as possible. I want nothing to do with you.
I have multiple family members who know people that would be directly affected by mass deportation, and I can't look past that cruelty that they're inflicting on people that they know. Let alone the fact that my marriage is on the line, right? It's on the chopping block, and they're basically telling me fuck you by voting for Donald Trump.
And likewise,
they're literally telling him fuck you die, and if I had the chance I would murder you.
Yep. And likewise on my dad's family, one of my cousins is gay, and one of my cousins came out a few years ago as trans. Yeah, they would be negatively affected by Trump. But hey, thank God they're in based Maryland. Let's go.
Sad that this is tearing relationships apart, but these people who voted for Trump are revealing something to the rest of us that's deeply unsettling. And on that note, it's of course ruining friendships as well. In the Trump subreddit, user Prestigious Will writes, "Just lost a quote friend because I voted for Trump. It's ridiculous how uneducated people are and immediately divide themselves."
The irony of you saying that.
And I gotta say, it's pretty ironic that this person.
No. You're the uninformed one, like all conservatives. How about that one?
And is calling people who didn't vote for Trump uneducated, but it just speaks to their lack of self-awareness. But another user replied saying, "I had someone block me because they made a super dramatic post, and I replied with everything is going to be fine. What was so bad from 2016 to 2020?"
Everything,
that right
Trump
there is
sucked.
the fucking problem. The willful ignorance to the destruction.
Do you all remember COVID? Oh, that's right. It was a Chinese hoax. I forgot.
Trump caused.
Chinese bioweapon, remember? That's what they all believe.
You all remember January 6th? Oh, that's right. I forgot. That was actually a
right.
That was an FBI job, remember?
Second of all, 200,000 Americans unnecessarily died at the start of the pandemic because Trump refused to take it seriously and wouldn't even recommend wearing masks.
And also, his COVID response is the main reason why he lost to Trump.
After that, he incited an insurrection and tried to overthrow the U.S. government. These aren't small things.
They're
These
reprehensible
are massive things. But
like I said earlier, when Trump did January 6th, and of course denied losing the election, that should have immediately disqualified him forever. No debate.
Could keep going. I could talk about the complicity with Saudi Arabia.
Like, if he did this in South Korea, as we saw, he would have been gotten rid of. And that's what should have happened.
Arabia's genocide in Yemen and his indiscriminate drone strikes in Pakistan,
because
Yemen,
the Republican
Somalia,
Party is just
or his
evil,
deregulation of agriculture
that really
that caused
told
an E. coli outbreak, or his anti-union appointees to the National Labor Relations Board, or his withdrawal from the Iran deal, which makes war with them more likely. There's so many things I could point to, but I mean, if you're living in a bubble or you don't feel the pain that he caused, I guess it's
China's
easy
got a
to
ton of
live in
investment in
ignorance
there
and
to
say,
stop
oh, well, it
them
wasn't
getting.
that bad, right?
Well,
it
would be bad if Iran got bombed back into the ocean.
Or, of course, him fucking over Ukraine, let Russia win. They could try and take on NATO, like Trump said before. He would encourage.
They won't just stop with Ukraine. Remember, he's also stealing. Let him take over Moldova and Georgia.
And also them Ukraine losing could encourage China to attack Taiwan.
No, it was happening. But I want to move on to
then
the next post where an entitled child asks for advice.
Philippines.
Guatemala, and then Colombia and Brazil taking Venezuela, and then all the other countries.
China harassing the Philippines. And some reason now, South Korea and Japan. Good luck with that. They actually have the power to fuck you over if you try to do anything with them.
Advice after a mother threatens to cut them off if they
you
vote
remember
for
what happened in
Donald
China
Trump.
last time?
So in the family
Japan got
subreddit,
the war
user
it won
EGs
pretty for
Forever
you.
writes, my mother to me will not speak to you for the rest of your life if you vote for Trump. She has also told my sister that she will disown her if she votes for Trump. What the hell has this world come to? We both will not be bullied by her. She has repeatedly threatened us/me with this. Should we say goodbye now before the election? She is completely a changed person. Very angry, nasty, hateful, judgmental, condescending, critical, angry, and has been for the last 3.5 years.
He wants to murder them. He wants to murder them.
That sounds like Trumpsters, buddy.
I cannot take it anymore. Every phone conversation, she has to add some kind of comment or dig. She goes nowhere except to Walgreens and grocery store. She will not make any effort to see family or friends that live in the same city and refuses to.
And unlike you all, we don't care. We don't cry about this like you all do. I don't give a fuck if people don't like me because I'm progressive. I genuinely do not care. Goes out one ear, out the other.
Come visit me out of state.
I'll stay
She has
being
been
based.
invited to many things: birthdays, Christmas, Thanksgiving.
Exactly.
I'll stay being based and make my
All
blossom
she
in the summer,
watches
which
on
makes
TV
you
is
mad.
MSNBC, CNN, The View. No one wants to be around her. Then she bitches that she's not invited to certain things because they don't want to hear her spew. Gets pissed off. She is 80, and I guarantee she will not change. What would you say to this? Is this the way the world is now? Background: my dad passed away a long time ago. I do not engage in her extreme politics, and therefore never have told her who I am voting for. She assumes because I do not engage. We do not engage. We just walk away. I've had to hang up on her multiple times. This is how bad it's gotten. A family friend passed away recently. She tells me it shouldn't have been him, our friend. It should have been Trump. That's deranged. I never once in this post within all the comments stated that I was voting for Trump. So stop. Jesus, this is what I'm talking about. You're assuming since I do not want to engage in the hate Trump shit. Now, I've got to say, I think that this person told us a little bit too much here because they claim that they never told their mom that they support Trump, and they say that their mom just assumed as much since they don't talk about politics or hate Trump openly like she does.
Oh my God. This is like the brain rot my mom now. Now, she is part of like the Trump derangement syndrome where she hates like Trump on like literally every single thing and won't shut up about it. To the point where she'll talk about stuff that like makes Trump look bad, and I think like, big deal, get over it. And then she start like accusing me of being a Trumpster when I'm a progressive. And I'm not kidding about that.
Yeah.
But if I was able to ascertain that you're a Trump supporter with just over 300 words, I'd go out on a limb and assume that your mom probably has a lot more to go off of than I do. But how do I know that you're a Trump supporter? Well, because you told me. You called her politics extreme when all she does is watch CNN, MSNBC, and The View all day. I'm sorry, that is only
like a
extreme
liberal.
if you're coming from the perspective where you're on the far right and support Donald Trump. To anyone else, CNN is as milquetoast as it gets. Now, I will grant you that it is possible that your mom is an insufferable liberal. I've known hyper-aggressive liberals who shit on me for being a socialist and for voting for Bernie Sanders and whatnot. So it's entirely possible that this
even
person's
I
mom
can be a bit insufferable as well.
But hey, it's fun being insufferable to conservatives because they're morons.
is part of the problem, sure.
They deserve
but
to be mocked.
It really feels like this person is
And we're
leaving
gonna
out
be
some
vicious
key
to you all
details
when
here.
Trump comes back.
I feel like if I had a parent who's 80, who had politics that I disagreed with, I mean, If I wanted to maintain that relationship, I would simply just not tell them about my politics. But here's the thing. I bet this person did tell them about their politics in some way. Maybe they shared a right-wing post on Facebook, or they dropped a comment mid-conversation that signaled their support for Donald Trump. I don't know.
Maybe they said someone should be murdered.
I won't bring up politics to Trumpsters that I know, but if they bring it up, oh boy, I'm going to go after them after.
If you didn't want your mom to know, you probably shouldn't have said the things that led her to believe that you support Donald Trump. Now, I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but if you dig into the replies, they basically confirm my suspicion here. So this commenter replied saying, "My father has become hateful in this way too. He has Trump derangement syndrome. Look it up. And rants constantly. I have to tell myself much of the time that it's not his fault. He doesn't understand how to navigate outside of the information silos, and he's trusted CNN and MSNBC his entire life. Legacy media is predatory with the boomer generation. It's a
and Fox isn't?
Anger and vapid talking.
Yeah, they absolutely are.
That's pretty ironic. I mean, no mention of Fox News at all in the brainwashing of boomers? Nothing? Really?
The actual brainwashing, unlike
Anyways,
MSDNC
the OP responded to that
CNN.
saying, "Thank you. Yes, Trump derangement syndrome. It's getting worse and worse every day. These people are so hateful. I never have said who I'm voting for. The verdict is still out on that one. Sure it is." Now, I want to move on because this next one is a doozy. Because this person voted for Donald Trump themselves, but they deeply regret it. Now, when I read the other posts about the Trump voters losing friends and family, I enjoy the schadenfreude to a degree, even though it's genuinely sad. But when it comes to this person, let me just say, I actually do feel bad for this Trump voter. So in the advice subreddit, this user writes, "I voted for the wrong person and I hate myself for it," and says, "I voted for Trump. I didn't want to. My family asked to use the same booth, and if I said I wanted a separate one, I knew they would question it. They don't know I'm liberal. They think I'm conservative like them. I've been afraid to tell them, so kept it hidden. I feel so guilty, not only for other people, but because of my friends and lying to them that I voted for Kamala. There's one friend I'm scared of telling the truth to. She said she trusted me in my vote and telling the truth. I really, really hate myself. I feel like I should be punished."
That sounds like you were like bullied and pressured into voting for Trump, though.
Yeah.
That would feel kind of bad for you in that regard. That doesn't feel like genuine, like voting for him, though.
I feel like I should tell her the truth, but I'm so genuinely scared. I really, really like her and don't want her to think less of me. I know I was a coward and stupid for not coming up with an excuse to use a separate booth. Please, what should I do? I just want any advice. Should I tell my friend the truth? Can I punish myself somehow for this? Holy shit. I thought that I should just try to do better next time, but I feel like I should have known better than this to begin with. I'm so stupid. Okay, calm down, liberal. Holy shit, just take a deep...
I don't know how it is wherever you at, but for me and my mom actually had to share the same booth. I went first and she went right afterwards. It's covered. No one sees unless they're actually like looking above you, like stalking you and all that.
We don't. Yeah, we've got separate booths. There was, I think, just so Mum, Dad, and I wound up in separate areas to mark ours down.
Yeah, we had separate bouts. My dad went to one, but he was busy. And then when there was one open up, I went for it. And then after I was done, my mom was right behind me.
Deep breath. Yep. It's all going to be okay. All right. Now that that's out of the way, once again, I get the sense that this is somebody who is really young, and it was probably easy for their family to peer pressure them and get them to do something that they clearly didn't feel comfortable doing. And that's not their fault. You know, if this is a younger person that still lives at home with their parents and isn't financially independent, it can feel really scary to stand up to conservative family members. As a young man, I did this, and the repercussions were severe. Now, this poster later revealed in the replies that she's a woman who's worried about her reproductive rights, so I do get the sense that maybe we're talking about a more fundamentalist evangelical household who would maybe shame her for voting for a baby killer or some shit, but I don't know because we don't have a bunch of details to go off of. One thing that did strike me, though, I will say, is that so many people were even allowed in the voting booth with her. I had no idea that this was a thing. Because I'm in Oregon, you know, we've been voting by mail my entire life, so I've never had to worry about this sort of a thing.
And all the time, I've always voted by in-person voting on election day, and that's how it always is for me. Single voting booth, like one person. Maybe if there's someone behind you, they're behind you, but not like. The only way you could see what someone's vote for is like if you're like stalking like right above like their heads or whatever.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. Maybe it's different for you, Mike, but that's just how our experience
And we
is.
even get an optional sleeve sent to us with our ballots if we want, you know, to make sure there's even more secrecy, so that way somebody can't peek through the envelope and try to figure out who we voted for after we seal it. But this person's main concern, it seems like, was whether or not to tell their friend about their vote for Trump. And she later said she doesn't actually think that they would cut her off, but she's just so ashamed to do just that. And to me, look, I've always kind of leaned on being more open and honest with people. More often than not, people try to be understanding of certain situations.
Except
and
conservatives.
That person's situation here is very understandable. And as somebody who cut off people I know because they voted for Donald Trump, I'm just saying, me personally, I would make an exception for that person, since I'm sympathetic to that situation. Although, if you do it again, off to the gulag you go. But, I mean, in all seriousness, I don't think that that person should hate themselves. You know, there's nothing that you can do. Even if you voted for Kamala Harris, Trump still would have won. So,
Which is what I tell idiots like Vosh and all them that tell me I'm, like, responsible for Trump winning in 2016. Even if I vote for Hillary,
like
she would have lost.
It's people like you, Vosh, who gave Trump the victory.
Be that hard on
fucking
yourself.
CIA agent.
That's basically all the posts that I've got for you. You know, reading these posts and seeing so many people find out after fucking around is really cathartic, because I'm still pissed off about the election. You know, and I really felt so detached from Americans, because it was hard to process just like how many people couldn't care less about the pain and suffering that would be caused by a second Trump
Republicans,
term.
because they love the pain and suffering. They want as much as possible.
I was more surprised how he could have won with all the stuff that happened afterwards. I thought this time around, what he did afterwards was just too far that he just wasn't going to be able to recover at that point.
It's nice to see that good, well-intentioned people still exist in this country. And
but there's
that might not save us from the
he
terror
managed to
that's about
strike
to
an
ensue,
economic
but it's something.
thing. So
and you know, the class solidarity that
Democrats
ensued after a certain after a certain healthcare CEO was Minecrafted. You know, the
that's
fact
why
that
they
people
are sympathetic to the alt-right.
There's a problem with the
because they
system. I think
refuse
that
to
there's
do what needs to actually be
room
done
to try to bring a lot of folks to the light. Many of them will never see the light. A lot of them, you can gently guide them to the correct conclusion if we get them to see that their enemy isn't immigrants and trans people. It's the people at the top, the elites, that are making their lives miserable.
Like Trump and elongated Musgrave people.
Trump,
So yeah,
exactly. That's exactly what they're. All the people at the top are the ones stealing literally every dollar you make and earn.
So yeah, we got. So what do you guys say about that? Trumpsters mad at people don't want to associate with them.
Well, not surprising. I mean,
you guys suck. I'm sorry.
Now you're finding out that everyone now hates you, and there are probably people who want to kill you now, and I perfectly understand.
Like,
because you want to Holocaust millions of immigrants.
Like, this is like the thing you have to accept. Not everyone likes Trump. Most of the country hates him. And if you can't handle the consequences, then don't support him. That's the end of it. You have options. You have a choice. You could oppose him like base Americans do. Oppose him. But you have a choice. You have to choose it the correct way. All right. So now, on to the last topic.
TYT continues to implode as they pivot towards being terrorists.
Oh, and remember I told you I had something very funny I had planned before when we got to the topic?
What is it?
Are you ready? 1, 2, 3. I unsubscribe from TYT.
Good for you. Good for you. I never subscribed to them to begin with.
By the way, guys, TYT is having an implosion of subscribers recently, too.
Oh, good to hear.
See what happens, Brown Buffalo and Karen Kasparian, when you go to the right?
Yep.
You lose your audience. Yep. Oh, let's go.
Exactly.
So, of course, we're not going to get to, like, their meltdowns, because they've been having so many meltdowns recently. Instead, we're going to watch a video Mike posted recently. He actually talked to Kyle recently, and they both made fun of TYT. Let's go. Let's watch this.
I can say it now that, actually, Kyle went to talk to him, and also to the Majority Report as well.
I saw that too. I actually would have considered watching them. I think their videos were too long compared to this one.
Yeah, way too long.
So on the subject of independent media, I'm dying to know your thoughts on TYT and Kasparian. So I'm not going to put you in a place where you have to attack them, but from my perspective,
and
I feel like
yogurt.
It's sad to see this because we've all been in the space for a while, and we've seen we've seen this 100 times. Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore,
TYT
what's
now.
his name? Russell Brand.
Yep.
Where little by little you start to
Jimmy Bohr.
You know, you pick one or
Rave
two issues,
Dubin.
and then you start buddying up with the right. And I see it with TYT and Annika.
Their brains are in recovery mode from all these ideas.
Yep, their brains are always in recovery mode.
Do you think it's gonna go fully in that direction? Like, do you think it's genuinely gonna end up like a Jimmy Dore or a Dave Rubin?
Yes, I do. If you asked me this a year ago, I would say probably not. I was in that position where you were in, probably with like Joe Rogan, where it's like, no, I think that you should try to reach these people. I think that maybe there's just a genuine agreement. But to me, with time, it's become apparent that like both Jenk and Anna, they just don't want to listen to good faith criticism, and
because they're Karens.
We all kind of like talk about this in different ways.
One of them already had their names changed to Karen.
And what really struck me is how
Karen Sparian.
What do you think about this? Do you think that they're gonna? Do you think TYT is gonna go the way of Jimmy Dore and Rave Dubin now?
Yes.
Yeah, it's like it can't be denied right now after this last year. It just keeps getting worse and worse and worse every time.
They just disregarded the arguments that we made. It was not in bad faith, even though they don't want to, acknowledge that. It wasn't in bad faith, but they said it was in bad faith.
Chank's too busy going,
me,
of
I think that moment
course!
that really clicked with me, like,
pretty much.
Now it's over, was when they went after Emma Vigeland, because Emma Vigeland, they know
what
her
do they
more
say
than they know
now to
us.
Emma
I was
now?
part of TYT
Do you
Network.
know?
You were part of
What have they said recently to Emma now? Do you know?
Probably something bad.
Because we know how much they were raging mad at Sam Cedar destroying it with no effort.
But we didn't have that close relationship. I never was at TYT studio. I think you were only there a couple of times. So like there was that.
Imagine getting on Sam Cedar's bad side. You all remember what happened to libertarians 10 years ago?
Yes, they got destroyed.
You and I have had debates.
With
They
no
got
effort.
annihilated, reduced to fucking. They got Thanos snapped.
They got sodomized and no lube.
I never thought, oh, Kyle.
As I was to say, they got Thanos snapped as well.
Disagreements that we were hashing out, and even like I said something about Wolfpack on my show, and Jenk had reached out to me privately and said, hey, the people at Wolfpack think that you got this wrong. And so I'm like, oh shit, I don't remember what it was in particular, but I brought on one of the directors of Wolfpack on my show to correct the record and talk about Wolfpack. And it's like, it's one of those things where we're all going to eat shit. We're human beings. We don't have massive, production crews. We kind of just get on camera and we say what we think. And so there are going to be times where we trip on our own dicks. So we have to eat shit sometimes. And our peers are the best people to hold us accountable. Like, if some random YouTube comment says, hey, Mike, fuck you. You said this. You're a terrible, terrible person. I'm going to disregard that. But if Kyle reaches out to me and says, hey, Mike, I think that you really messed up here, that's when I'm going to think, oh, okay, well, if Kyle's saying this, he's been doing this for a long time. I respect him. He respects me. So that, to me, is why I think TYT might actually just be straight up gone. Because they've tuned out all of the people that were closest to them, that respected them, that they respected, and now it's just right-wingers,
because
Glenn Beck,
more on Karens.
PED. And it's not a bad thing.
They're all Karens.
At all.
Karen
Going on Temple and
still
whatnot,
crying
but
about
it's what you
birthing
do on these
people.
shows, right? Like, you were on BD and you criticized them, you challenged them.
The whole thing was a debate.
Imagine being a TERF.
The entire fucking thing was a debate.
Imagine being a TERF neo-Nazi.
When he started going
like J.K.
Rowling.
Rowling.
Correction, J.Q. Rowling.
Man, but if I were on Tucker Carlson, I'm going to speak truth to power. I'm going to criticize him for the white supremacy that he's espousing. And I don't see that.
Chris, I'm for defending Russia. How about that one, Mike?
The left. And to me, it's like, okay, you know what?
Criticizing the
Maybe
Christian
5 years
and
ago,
Islamic
I would
Nazis
still be
in
more charitable.
Russia.
A year ago, I'd be more charitable. But I feel like we've seen this show so many times. It's a rerun. And I actually think they're less subtle. Like, I think Anna is less subtle than Dave Rubin's grift at this point in time.
Oh! Do you think that too? Ooh, remember that. Oh, do you think she's more overt than Rave Dubin was? Because I remember Rave Dubin, his transformation.
Yeah.
Karen Kasparian's like speed run it. She's acting more worse than Rave Dubin's transformation.
She's gonna she'll be arrested for doing a fucking act of domestic terrorism by the end of Trump's term.
My goodness.
That's not fast.
Oh my god, how do you become worse than Rave Dubin? Oof.
It's almost
Rave Dubin was the worst
reaction as me.
And now
so, like,
Karen Sparian has made things worse, and Chunk Yogurt's gonna follow as well.
It looked to me like they were fully in resistance mode.
Because I'm a
Like,
moron.
man,
I'm a buffalo.
We're gonna fight on everything. We're gonna fight this and that on everything. Fuck Trump in every imaginable way. Even to the point where, you know, there were some areas where I disagree with them on like Russiagate type stuff. I was like,
Yeah, same.
I don't agree with these particular criticisms that they're making, but it seemed like they were in full on resistance mode, and they maintained that all the way up, seemingly until recently. And then the mindset, so in the same way as like I was trying to like find bridges or areas of agreement from 2016 on, and then eventually I realized, shit, this didn't work. And I flipped, and now I'm being super aggressive, and I'm the one that's resisting. And for them it was resist, resist, resist. And then just recently, it's almost like they just got tired of doing the, we're in the resistance, we're going to fight everything. And now you hear Cenk's big thing is like, we got to unite the populist right and the populist left, and here's this area.
There is no populist right
where we can agree. But
Nope,
what I would
they're
say to Cenk in
all
reaction to that
evil.
is,
and remember earlier on in the episode, I was talking about Kyle was going to bring up something that I've noticed a major flip between like all of us and TYT, and it's this thing.
Yeah.
Remember back in 2016 when Trump came in, TYT and all them were like resist liberals, like oppose Trump no matter what.
Yes.
And then we were like, no, let's work with Trump and Trumpsters if they agree on the same things and all that. Like try and be like more nicer than them. And that's what we did. But we realized you Trumpsters are morons. You're never going to change whatsoever because you're freaking morons. So now that Trump's back, we're going to be super duper aggressive to you, and we're going to resist you at all costs. And now all of a sudden they're trying to be buddies with them. They flipped. How about that?
Yep, they completely flipped because
like we
they're
flipped.
evil.
We all flipped on this. And of course now that we're on their side, they're like, we gotta cater to the right now because we're becoming right-wingers, so we're gonna try and be nice to them.
it's not like they're completely and utterly full of shit. Every single one of them. That's even the, you know.
Yeah, all you
and
Trumpsters
God
pretty
bless
much are
Bernie.
full of
I love
shit.
him. I don't think Bernie's a sellout by
Yeah,
any
full
stretch
of
the
more shit
imagination,
than a
but his
backed up
strategy on this has
toilet.
been
But
like,
that's what
I
they
agree
always
with
do.
Trump that we should
That's
cut
what they've
credit card
always.
interest rates
That's
to
what
10%,
Republicans
and I
have
agree
always
with
been.
Elon
Have
Musk
always
that
will
we
be.
need to cut the Pentagon, and he's putting that out there. But here's the thing, Bernie. They're not going to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. They're not going to cut the Pentagon. And then when they don't do those things, all of those MAGA accounts are going to pretend like they never supported capping credit card interest rates at 10%.
Because they're
They
fake.
say they never supported cutting the Pentagon,
because
and they're
they're
going to
fake
go
grifters.
wherever Trump wants them to go. Because MAGA is effectively a cult. And so what I would say to Bernie is, I know where your heart is. I know you're trying to do what you think is the right thing and get them in a gotcha and hypocrisy burn them and say, see, they were lying, etc. But they're immune to the hypocrisy burns. And so the real strategy is to upfront say, look, these people are full of shit. They're full of shit. They don't mean a goddamn word of what they say. And I will put
like I've been doing last month on
you
Twitter.
know, the PBD.
Yeah,
of the
always
world
have
and the
been,
Tim
always
Pools of the
will be.
world and the Joe
Man, you
Rogans
should
of the
see.
world, like,
Oh man, you should have seen. I think it was yesterday when I said because Kyle tweeted out that elongated Musgrave should be deported, and I replied with, and all his money should be taken from him. Man, I triggered so many Trumpsters, every single one of them. Wrecked. You saw the one.
Yes, I saw at least one of those.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wrecked and then blocked, and then one of them were so mad that they made an alt account to bug me after I blocked them.
do you think Rogan, like when Trump starts doing objectively horrible shit,
Karens
do you think
everywhere.
Rogan is going to be on his show? Like, man, I really disagree with this. Like he did back in the day. Remember when the child separation policy was happening?
Imagine making me waste my time like I can work on my Blossom in summer instead.
Immigrant rant where he was going, and do you think that's going to happen this time around?
You want to see the short skirts,
no,
people?
He endorsed
you
the guy.
Stop
He said
bugging
he
me.
wants to do a mass deportation, and if Trump does do a mass deportation, Rogan's either going to say nothing about it or just defend it. Right?
Because
so
Rogan's
I think
a
that's the point,
moron,
is like,
a self-admitted moron.
Because Rogan's
there
evil.
are way more allies who are liberals or who are just independents than there are the populist right. I'm of the belief at this point the populist right is fake. It's not real. They will flip on a dime to go where Trump wants them to go. And by the way, I know I'm right about this because, again, we have the first 4 years. I mean, already Trump has axed Lena
you
Khan.
idiot Trumpsters.
Lena
When
Khan
Trump was
like
already president, he was so bad that he was voted out. That's how bad he was. And you expect him to come back and do everything again? He sucks. That's the end of it. Stop defending him.
Lena Khan, and then we
Fucking
learned just
morons.
He's not keeping her.
Oh,
He's replacing
absolutely.
Lena Khan with somebody who says, I want to stop the FTC's war on big business. So how many times
Trump
do
got
they have
so
to
worse
fail
that he
this
forced
test
me to support
before
Biden and Kamala,
we
and I
call
did
it
not
for what it
support
is? Jake
the
Vance
Democrats
sounds
last
like
presidential election.
That is genuinely an accomplishment.
You made me pretty much a never Demer almost, or Bernie bro, to go back to Democrats because you guys are morons and you scare me. Even a deep blue state.
He dodged a question on that during the campaign. He's not even in favor of the
That's
PRO
quite an
Act.
accomplishment.
He said he supports
That
the
you got me
$6,000
back to
child
being a
tax
Democrat
credit,
again.
and he didn't show up for the vote on
Yeah,
the
that is
$6,000 child tax
nuts.
credit. Right? So it's just, I'm hoping, like I think a lot of people are, for just when something really bad happens, I'm hoping that there's some sort of an about face, right? And that TYT goes, hey, they didn't do the thing that I thought they might do, so now I'm on the warpath against them too. So I hope that that's the case. Well,
TYT is too
we'll just
stupid
have
to
to
do
see
that,
if that's the
though.
case.
Yeah,
And
absolutely
I don't know. I don't know if I
retarded.
want to hold my breath on that because I am
This is
notoriously
bloody stupid.
a horrible
Like,
judge of character.
been a
on
whole
these things.
year,
I
too,
don't
remember.
know why they're doing it. It's because they've realised our former employees are killing it by appealing to Nazis and fascists and terrorists. Maybe we should do the same.
And also remember,
they did around and finding out.
And also Karen
That's
did her.
not how it works.
And also Karen Kasparian had her about face over a year and a half before the election. So they've been doing it for a while beforehand.
Already just went through.
Yeah,
like we just discussed the Rogan thing. I
especially
gave him
now
credit for way
that
too long.
she started out with
Before
the
I gave-
birthing people, and then Karen Kasparian decided to sprain her brain and become a TERF. And by the time we get it there, good judge she'll have actually committed an act of terrorism and will be sitting in jail.
Let's see,
And possibly Jenkins as an enabler as being investigated for links to terrorist organizations.
Crying about trans people, lying about shoplifting, being all over the place when it's not, lying about the Venezuelan thing last year, which she still won't shut up about, being very anti-homeless. Like, you're a Karen.
She
for all these people.
Do you think she's
But what I would
disappeared any
say
homeless people yet?
is this: I really hope that that Jank or Anna or both, they talk to Sam Cedar or.
Oh, Kyle, they're too scared to talk to Sam Cedar. They're terrified. Like,
they
seem to think.
After Jimmy Dore got his ass handed to him on a platinum platter by Sam.
Remember this Halloween when Tim Pool was destroyed by him?
And he with them on certain
TYT, I think you all need to just fold and let Sam Cedar be like the main progressive person now of online, because obviously he can destroy conservatives all the time, and you guys are caving to him because you're pathetic. Sam Cedar, please become the majority, please, like your show.
Yeah, that'd be epic.
Destroy conservatives and dumb leftists like you destroyed libertarians.
Seem to think like,
and they're still balling mad after this decade.
Genuinely loves crime, right? I've heard this is something I've heard from them. So it's like, I want them to talk to somebody who can rep that counter argument, who they respect enough to give them.
They're too scared, though, Kyle. You know that. They're too scared of you, even.
They're always scared. They're scared of everyone.
To have the conversation with
I wonder why Hassan's always scared about people going after him. It's in the family, I see.
Because he's getting destroyed as well.
The bridge is burnt
by us.
It's burnt between myself and them. But I mean, like,
imagine being stupid like Hassan,
Francesca, or John,
or you.
Because like, if you think that we're bad faith, that's fine. Because I've taken the gloves off. Like, I'm kind of past the whole maybe we can save them. I can fix them. I don't believe that. But for the
I'm not in the mood with like talking to you Trumpsters. I just want to mock you viciously. Unless you agree with our policies, then maybe we'll talk.
Actually, just said I was watching the Vanguard, and they were playing a clip of Francesca where she tried to have a conversation between them and John, and Jen denied it. So the fact that they're not doing that is so
they're crying about maybe talking to John
Iderola.
Oh, wow.
Going around saying,
sounds like he's finally getting the hell out of there.
Like, go have a beer after where we agree, let's unite. This is
how much of a Karen
and it's like,
do you have to
look,
be?
I understand that.
It honestly, that actually sounds like at least John Iderola's got a shred of integrity in his GTFO'd.
When you say that, like, PBD's an honest actor or Tim Pool's an honest actor, you could have a conversation with
Dim Fool and that other idiot account brought up are absolutely not honest actors. They're morons. And, in Pool's case, he's a Russian paid asset.
But you can't have a conversation with Sam Cedar.
And actually, Justice Warrior might be too. He's not popular enough for it to have been revealed in there.
And every time I would ever talk to him, I'm going to point that out forever and ever and make him raging mad that his beanie would blow up.
And
everyone gets to see his bald head with his fucking hairline halfway back on his head. Just, dude, shave what little hair you have off and accept that you're bald.
Are you saying he's Double D from Ed, Ed and Eddie?
It seemed like...
pretty much.
It was sort of like hitting a brick wall a little bit.
She's pretty much.
It seems like there's an impasse. And
cool.
I think the point is, like, if all of your passion
all of you are as dumb as Ed and not as
really,
funny.
Like, fiery.
Yeah.
Actually, might be stupider than Ed.
They're as dumb as Billy from the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy.
Whose brain is his nose, remember?
Yeah, and also, remember that Billy's IQ is canonically -5.
As Mandy said, the man with no brain.
Yep.
I think that's why a lot of people
no wonder he got from his dad.
I think he has a negative IQ as well, canonically.
Because he's too busy eating 12 pizzas without throwing up in the one episode.
Really about it. In a moment like this, all of that anger really should be targeted at the right.
Feel bad for Grimm being around him all day.
The White House. They got the Senate. They got the House. This whole Doge thing is just literal billionaire robber barons who are going to loot the treasury and, cut your grandma's Social Security and Medicare. And it's like, we really
everyone's Social Security and Medicare
with a made-up agency to
after
people.
These people because it's about to get really ugly, really quickly. And
exactly.
Hell,
the dog behind the Doge that inspired the Doge meme died earlier this year.
Basically, anybody who's
I feel bad for that dog being associated with this stupid organization.
In unison and all hammer away. This is the brilliance.
Even dogs deserve
Fox
respect,
News
people.
And the right-wing media sphere is like
they deserve respect, and that is probably the most disrespect you can give a dog.
But you think Republicans care about animals?
Outlet under the sun will repeat it till the cows come home, and then they drive the narrative. They drive the entire political narrative in the country. And that's what the left is missing. That's what liberals and leftists are missing, is just in unison a media apparatus that's all harping away on the same things and steering the narrative.
Actual good arguments against Trump, unlike MSDNC and CNN, who go after him because he's mean all the time. And of course, as we covered, defend him too. Oh my goodness, that was hilarious. What do you gotta say about Kyle and Mike destroying Chunk Ugert and Kasparian?
They deserve it. They deserve it. They deserve to have 0 subscribers and minus 30 billion views.
Well, hey, they got one less subscriber now from this episode.
Yep, that's good. I don't think I've been subscribed to them in about... I think I was subscribed to them one time on one of my old channels, but I'm definitely not subscribed to them on my new account.
So, stay mad, TYT. You suck. You've honestly been sucking for like the last 10 years or so. I'm not kidding.
Yeah.
With your SJW movement back in the mid-2010s, and now this, you suck.
Yeah.
Just suck. Just
suck and blow. The only good thing from that period was that Cenk Uygur came around to agreeing that the Armenian genocide was a genocide in 2017.
Gee, I cannot wait.
That's literally the only good thing.
Yep. I cannot wait when he all of a sudden, I think I might have to backtrack on that. Turkey was always right. And I wouldn't be surprised if he did
I get the sense that Cenk rather hates his homeland, so I don't know.
Always expect bad things to happen with Chunk Ugert and Karen Kasparian. Or maybe he said last time, maybe he won't because he's too scared of Karen Kasparian going full Karen on him.
Karen Kasparian. But I think at this point, if he would backtrack, she would kill him. She would literally kill him.
And that would actually be justified for once. Her going full Karen would actually be valid in that regard.
Yeah, it would be.
Alright, guys. So, what a funny way to wrap it up. As that is the last episode of 2024. So, see you all next time in 2025.
See you then.